1, 2, 3. Alright, I think we're live. We are live. We are live on the internets. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see if this is live streaming to my, I don't know. Something's not right in my multi-stream. I might need to start and stop and start over or something. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, I'm going to try it again. The most important thing I'm looking for right now, too, for grins and giggles here. Alright, yeah, I guess we're live. We're live! We'll do it live! So this is a social experiment doing an unsolicited, unplanned late night talk. So some people in South Florida probably past their bedtime. But anyways, I thought it might be cool if some people want to get together and just talk about whatever, because you know, this whole social distancing thing, maybe you can't get together and hang out and talk as often as you'd like to. So this is again kind of unscheduled, unplanned, unannounced, unsolicited. Hey, Angel just said hi on Facebook. Hey Angel, how are you? So yeah, if you, since everybody's learning how to do Zoom now, you know, all you people who are working from home and having to teleconference and all that kind of stuff, you're using Zoom for work. So hopefully a lot of the non-technical people are learning how to do some of these stuff that us techies do all the time. So you get on your Zoom and join the meeting ID that's down here, right here. Terry Steggy, join us, dude. Come on, jump on here, brother. And let's try to put the social back in social distancing and virtually socialize as I'm having a cold one, having a pint. Good on you, mate. In the meantime, since I know it was a long shot to get people to come out of thin air, I'm just gonna sit here and listen to some cheesy jazz music here and entertain myself for a little while. Let's crank up the tunes here just a bit. Hey, Terry, jump on Zoom. The meeting ID is right here. Get on Zoom here, brother. Join me. Don't leave me hanging, bro. Come on. Don't leave me hanging, bro. You're leaving me hanging. What the hell was that noise? So my phone just made a noise. Okay, Hugo says he might join in a few minutes. Okay. What happened to the beard? The beard got shaved, man. The beard was just way too white, and I wasn't digging the Santa Claus look, so I had to get rid of the beard. Terry Steggy says, on my way. He's here. I might have to lower the music once people join Zoom. I just had to have some noise in my head, man. It might be time for me to grab another beer too. This one's tragically almost empty. Virtual happy hour, if you will. So we're on the hotline here. The Zoom number to call in live is 800-098-455. Call on in on Zoom and tell us how you are handling social distancing. Live. Tim, join us, dude. How are my levels? Do I have proper modulation here? Proper modulation. Testes 1, 2. Testes 1, 2. Okay, my level's coming in good. So right now I'm extremely isolated on this virtual, you don't need a webcam as long as you got audio, Evan. Jump on. How you been, man? don't have to be on video. Listen, I got a face for radio. So, says the ID is wrong. Huh. Hold on. Let me see if I made a typo. What is my Zoom meeting? I didn't even... Dude, hold on a second here. That would be really... I could have made a typo, honestly. Well, it's all working well. Hold on, man. Let me check my Zoom. All right, so it is 880. Oh, I did a typo here. Yeah, so this one here is wrong. My bad. My bad. Hold on one second here. As I so it's 88. So I did a typo here. Yeah, so it's 880. Sorry about that. My bad. 880 098 0455. And I will go ahead and copy the link and I'll paste that in the live chat. So if you're watching this live, the link will be there. Chicka chicka chow pow pow. Chicka chicka pow pow pow. Chicka chicka pow. Hey, Terry Steggy has joined me. Hold on. I probably need to pause the music now because it's going to be hard to hear me over the music. How you doing, Terry Steggy? Crikey. Nick Marentes. So is it 880? Hey, Tim Franklin. How you doing, buddy? Got a whole bunch of people I can't hear right now. Is it just me or is everybody muted? Oh, you know what I might need to do? I might need to do something here with my participants and unmute. Yeah, that's what I get for... Terry, you got a copy on me?
I got you. How you doing, brother?
You got a copy on me, good buddy?
Nope.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Hey, Steve.
Happy Social Anxiety Day. How you hanging, brother? Hello, is this thing on? Testes 1 2. Testes, testes.
I think, am I coming through, Steve?
You're coming through, Terry.
All right, cool.
I don't hear Nick. Crikeys.
Yeah, I thought you guys would have been dead by now.
The Australian flu hasn't killed us yet.
No, Terry should be okay. He's got protection on his microphone.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Protection and the way to protect your mouth.
All right. So I did a bad typo in the description of this video. So I typed in 800, but it was 880. So I've updated the on-screen text there for those watching at home if you want to join us. So yeah, thanks for joining me, guys, and not leaving me hanging here for too long. I just had this random spontaneous decision here to talk about how's everybody weathering whatever's going on in your world right now.
What's going on?
Crikey, Nick. And Tim, how you doing, buddy? You're muted.
I'm doing fine, but I'm getting serious echo.
You probably should put on headphones.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Make sure you wrap them in tinfoil.
That's funny.
Yeah. Rick Adams has joined us. What's going on, guys?
Crikey.
Crikey is right. How's the coronavirus affecting Australia, Nick?
Well, we've got all the quarantines and the lockdowns and all the usual stuff, basically. But we're not doing too bad. We did have 2 more deaths today. I think a total of 8 to date so far, which is pretty good on when you look at the world. But yeah, we'll see if it gets worse.
Yeah. So are the kangaroos wearing masks and everything?
Oh, they're immune. They're okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we don't have to worry about
it's the humans that are copying it.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy. I reckon all the kangaroos and koalas got together and and created something to get rid of all us Aussies out of their country.
Keep burning our land down. We're going to get rid of
Well,
you.
that's right.
Yeah,
All we do
right.
is burn it.
So who's had a lifestyle or work style change right now? Who's had to change how you work or how you commute, Terry? What's going on with you? What's changed in your lifestyle or work style right now?
I got kind of a double whammy. My job is with a power company, so we have to get quite a bit of what do you call it? Authorizations if the roads are closed, they let us go on. That's been kind of a pain. My girlfriend's a nurse, so kind of have to watch. You know, they've had a few cases coming around them, so it's kind of
Wow.
spooky, to be honest. But
Both of you would be considered essential in your roles.
that's the first time that's ever been told to me. But
Yeah,
yes, I
yeah.
guess that's what they say.
So you work for a power company.
That
Now,
is what that means.
for those watching at home, and there are literally tens of 12s of people watching us right now. What state are you in?
I'm in Wyoming. We're a power cooperative. We're in Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming. It's a pretty good size footprint, but
Yeah,
that
Rhonda.
makes it real difficult when you got three governors doing different, states of emergency or whatever. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, very cool. Ron Delvaux in Arizona, who happens to be retired, says zero lifestyle change when you're living the dream, Ron. Not much changes for you. And what are you saying there? Be back. Okay, in a minute. Okay, there we go. We've got subtitles and cards here. All right, Tim Franklin. And Nick Marentes, you are also retired, I guess. So working from home is not much different from you right now, right?
It's not much different. Yeah, I still use a cocoa every day.
Yeah. Sarah says hi. That's Jason's girlfriend. Hey, Sarah. Now, Rick Adams, gainfully employed still. Has your work flow changed?
We ensconced ourselves away 12 days ago. So we went underground 12 days ago. So I've been living at home ever since then and telecommuting every day. And so our state just got locked down, and they're like closing all non-essential businesses, and we're not essential, but we're all working from home. So you got to think that they should love us.
And your
So
state is Minnesota, right? The great state of Minnesota.
Minnesota, that's right.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
So you're on statewide lockdown?
Yeah, well, not a lockdown. It's what do you call it? I don't know what they call it. But,
Strongly
yeah, but,
suggested quarantine?
oh yes, very strongly. Yes. Yeah, the governor put the hammer down today. So
Wow.
we've
Wow.
been waiting for that to happen for quite some time.
Wow.
Been rumors flying around, but today it finally the hammer came down. So the only thing I'm worried about is my son. I mean, we're probably going to be okay. They're probably going to say, "Hey, look, you guys are all working from home. That's fine." But my son doesn't have that luxury. So he's a graphic designer, and he's got to hang out at the office. So either they figure out a way for him to telecommute, or he's out of a job. It's that part worries me. The
Wow.
rest of it is fine. We got enough stuff. We got food. We got stuff. I figure I don't want to get out for like about the next 4 or 5 days, because right now with the governor just announced this thing, I think everybody's hair is going to be on fire for the next 4 days. So we'll just wait that out. And when people get sane again, we'll come back out and get some groceries every 5 days or so.
How's the toilet paper situation in
Oh, we
Minnesota?
lucked out.
Yeah.
We lucked out. Yeah, it's all the shelves in the stores are totally stripped. Every time I've gone, they've just been completely scrubbed clean of all toilet paper, all paper products of any kind, even paper
Wow.
plates. They don't have plates.
They're wiped
So
out.
wiped out. Yes. But just early on, we went in and they'd stripped all the toilet paper except we found one gigantic, what what do you call it? It's not in a box, but it's like they're all wrapped in plastic. I don't remember how many rolls it was, but it was just immense. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, we don't need that much toilet paper. That's crazy. But it's the only one left. So I'm just going
Yeah.
to take it. And so we stocked up. We already had enough as it was. So we've got a mountain of it. Don't tell anybody. 'Cause,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Friends will come to our door.
Hey, Chris West, are you there, buddy? My buddy Chris West has joined us, and he didn't say I'm not sure if he's got a microphone now, but he says I've been social distancing for a few years now. It's called grumpy old bastard.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to be listening in, but
Okay.
I got to do a few
problem.
things. Then I'm going to come back in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, thanks for popping in. This
You
was
betcha.
Unplanned, unscheduled, and it's always nice to have somebody else to help. So what I'm actually going through tonight is what I would call social distancing anxiety, because at some point in time you some people have social anxiety because they don't want to be around crowds too much. I think that this lack of interaction is also creating a level of anxiety, so it's like, oh man, where do you find that balance? Cool stuff. Tony Pedraza, are you there? Let's see, Tony's muted. I don't know if I screwed up when I created this Zoom call too, if I accidentally muted everybody.
I'm here.
Hey Tony, how are you?
Breathing?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony.
Has your lifestyle, work style been impacted positively, negatively in the midst of all this?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Since January 18th of 2018, I've done nothing, and I'm still doing nothing.
You are living the dream being a retiree.
They retired me.
Yes. Yeah. I hear you. And now Linda's doing okay too, and we're a little bit concerned about that with her getting any exposure.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Who is Moto Z4? Welcome.
Somebody's talking, but you can't hear what you're saying, so I'm
Okay.
going to correct that. And ask that question again.
I was saying, and you're doing good because you're retired. And is Linda good? And are we worried about Linda anybody getting germs on her? Is her immune system good enough right now?
Oh, she's good.
Yeah, good.
She hasn't been out of the house, with the exception of doctor's appointments, since we got back
I'm new
from
at
Georgia.
Zoom, period.
Oh, is that Wayne?
Yes,
Wayne.
I don't know how to change my name.
That's fine. Well, now that we know who you are, we'll just call you Moto Z4. There's Tony and Linda. Hey, guys, how are you?
I'm a hedgehog.
I see that. Your hair's growing back good. Looks good.
Thank you.
You got more hair than David Ladd, so we got that going on. I just went ahead and had my wife run the clippers on my head tonight. My head was getting shaggy, and you can't get a haircut right now. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what happened to this?
What's that? The beard?
Yeah.
Oh, it was driving me crazy. It used to drive me crazy before. Just, hey, Wayne, there he is.
There.
Wayne.
Now if I could just change my name.
Yeah. It usually drives me crazy itching me, but it's driving me crazy. Being itchy and being a white beard both were driving me crazy. So I'm like, just not feeling like rocking the Santa Claus look. So I had to let it go.
Our kids keep getting up on your lap all the time.
Yeah,
It's irritating.
right. So we got Grumpy, we got Tim, we got Nick in Australia. So yeah, the global pandemic is here. We're in the apocalypse. We're doing the best we can.
Working?
What's that, Tim?
Is my audio working? Well, obviously you answered.
Yeah, your audio's working.
Okay. I was getting major echoes. I was like freaking out.
Yeah. How are things in California, Wayne?
Well, California's been in what they call voluntary isolation for at least a week now. Schools are pretty closed. Most businesses are shut down. Restaurants and bars, well, bars are closed. Restaurants can only do takeout orders only.
Yep, we got that going on.
So,
Hey, Evan.
but I tell you, for me, it's been kind of the opposite because I don't really, I'm in that position where I'm not worried about losing a job because I don't have one,
Okay.
and I live in my car. So things have actually been quite the opposite for me. My church that I go to, I'm able to go and be in the fellowship hall every day since the organization that deals with the homeless is closed
Okay.
during this time. So they're not doing anything in the fellowship hall. So I get to sit in there all day and work on my computer, which is what I've been doing. And at night I sleep in my car, and I've got plenty of food. I don't have to worry about food. I get
That's
food
good.
through my church. So for me, everything's kind of like peaches and cream,
Okay.
But
That's
I
good to hear.
just wish this thing would end because I'm in the high risk group. I'm old and I have respiratory issues. So if I catch this thing, there's a good chance it'll kill me.
No,
Yeah.
that's all for yeah.
So I hope it gets over with soon.
Amen to that. Are you still doing Uber?
No, I had to give it up because I couldn't afford the gas anymore.
Oh, okay.
I just had to close out my credit card because I can't even make payments on it now.
Evan, we see you. Looks like you're working on your microphone there. Can you hear us, Evan? He looks like he's concentrating. Hey, Dave says, I have a strange feeling my name was called out. I felt a disturbance in the floors. Oh, my goodness. How you doing, Linda?
It is a disturbance in the force.
He's not on.
Oh,
It's just a comment.
Yeah, well,
I'm
I mean,
pretty sure the force was disturbed a long time ago.
yeah, the irony for me, with what I do, not a whole lot has changed. I mean, most of the work I do, most of the support I provide my clients, I do remotely. I still have people calling me into their offices. I have a lot of offices that are kind of closed to the public, but they're still calling me in to provide service for them. I've been doing a lot of consulting, helping people get set up using Zoom and doing remote, working from home, enabling their workforce to kind of work remotely. So I've actually spent the past 2 weeks helping everybody else do what I've been doing for the past, 15 years, being a technophile. So
Well, the only reason I have Zoom on my phone is because my church started doing streamed services on Sunday, and they're using Zoom.
yeah,
So
that's great.
that's why I have it on my phone, and that's why I was able to connect.
Yeah, well, we're
I
glad you
just
joined
don't
us.
remember how to change my name.
Yeah, I think you have to. I don't think you can do it from the mobile app. I think you'd have to log in online and create an account and update your profile and stuff like that, and then sign in that way. Yeah, but that's fine. You're here. It's good to see you. We don't really get to see you visually too often.
Yeah, well, I try to stay off camera as much as possible.
A lot of us could benefit from that. Somebody's getting a phone call. Evan, can you hear us yet?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. I'm in. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Oh, fantastic. So
Fantastic.
all I had to do was borrow some gear from my teenage son, and I'm up and running.
You're in there.
Yep.
And what state are you in, Evan?
I am about 2 miles from where they used to have Cocoa Fest
Okay.
in Wheaton, Illinois. So
Okay.
just a stone's throw from the Heron Point.
Illinois.
Yeah,
How you
Illinois.
doing, neighbor? How you doing, neighbor?
Not bad, not bad.
Now
I
you're
live in Downers Grove.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. I hear Micro Center's pretty crazy these days.
I haven't been in there in years.
now you're a teacher, right, Evan?
Yes.
And public schools?
Yes. So they just said they gave us an hour of training on Google Classroom Well, I wouldn't even say an hour of training. It was an hour of you need to use Google Classroom. Just go home and figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but most of my stuff is all videoed anyway and
Yeah.
PDF'd anyway, so it was real no big deal. I just throw it all up online, and it's actually easier than going to work every day. It's a pretty good deal. I feel almost guilty because I know a lot of other people are out there suffering, and for me, this is actually easier than my normal life.
So are you currently holding virtual classes or getting ready to do that, or?
Well, I don't have like a time where people log in. There's no kind of like Zoom meeting kind of thing. It's like I just put the materials up online and I make screencasts of myself doing all the little projects, and then I say, okay, well, follow along and make it yourself and submit it. And then every assignment's got a due date, and then every day I post like a little tutorial video or I post a message or something. It's really hard because our students don't have we're not a one-to-one school. I teach at a vocational center, so the students are coming from like 24 different schools, and some of them have Chromebooks, some of them have iPads, some of them don't have anything. And I don't know, like a lot of the kids don't even have computers at home, or they have a phone or something and they can't even really do the work. So it's just kind of the Wild West. It's like, well, just as a teacher, do what you can do, and then just kind of, deal with the problems as they arise, or just make the best of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. But essentially your workflow has changed, but as far as cash flow, that's not being impacted right now.
Cash flow has not been impacted. My workflow is actually pretty much the same. I'm still making activities all the time. I'm grading stuff. I'm responding to student emails and questions. It's just kind of rather than having it all be condensed during the school day, now it's kind of spread out between whenever I roll out of bed and 10:30 or whenever I kind of shut down.
Yeah, cool.
Not a bad deal. I get every day is bring your dog to work day.
Hey, John Strong is here. How you doing, John Strong?
Hanging in there.
And what state are you in?
Michigan.
Michigan. Now, has your lifestyle, work style been impacted right now?
Lifestyle work is pretty much the same because I work here the messy office. I was trying to take some of this time not being able to get out and about to do some stuff. I got some projects to build some tables and stuff here, and I got out there looking and like, okay, I don't have enough. I'm going to have to go to Menards or someplace, and then they closed them down. So,
wow.
But I work totally from the home and deal with clients and coworkers around the world. We've got a big presence in India with a center there that I have to communicate with from time to time. Have clients like Florida, state of New Jersey, the CDC, and those are just some that I'm on. And a company is based out in Illinois as far as the headquarters. Evan and you might have heard of them, Jones Lang LaSalle. And but they're about 90,000 employees around the world, and we do real estate services of different types. Everything from what I do with software support for clients that use software, they handle their manage their real estate, to people who are on site at the corporations and help them do all kinds of different things, plus investment help. So it's a very big global company. We were bought out. I was in a smaller company, but we were bought out about a year and a half ago. And so I'm now work for this great big global company.
And do they have corporate initiatives on what to do and what not to do and how to interact and things to do at home and things like that? Are they communicating?
They're communicating and actually putting special things on for the people who don't normally work out of the home. the little bit of challenge we are having working from the home is now everybody's gone to work at home. Some of the WebEx and stuff are not connecting properly like they used to. I had one meeting that I took probably 3/4 of the meeting trying to get in. I couldn't dial in. I couldn't connect in. They couldn't dial me back. Basically rebooted the laptop and was finally able to get in for just a few minutes. And then the connection was very noisy. So it is impacting us because there's so many people online. Some of our clients, we have a big manufacturing client whose account I'm on in Illinois. And they were asking people to make sure they weren't using the VPN unless they absolutely had to be on the VPN to get their job done, because they had a couple thousand licenses.
Yeah, that's a whole new challenge.
And suddenly it wasn't enough licenses.
Yeah, I'm running into that problem a little bit. I've got my own TeamViewer corporate account that I use mostly for my own benefit to how I remote in to support my clients, but I've actually got 3 seats or 3 channels that I can use. And I've had a handful of clients that over the years, I'm like, yeah, here, I'll give you a login. You can log in, because these people usually come in maybe after hours, maybe on a weekend, some random connections. But now I've got a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, I want to work from home, or I need 6 people in the office working from home. And I'm like, well, you guys can't use my TeamViewer license, then I can't work, right? So I've got some people set up on VPNs in remote desktop. I actually was just recommended by a job I did the other day to use Google Remote Desktop, and that's a free service. So I'm now suggesting people to use that, because you don't need a VPN. You don't need there's a low curve to get up and running with this. And Chris West, you on video, buddy? All right. How you doing, brother?
Doing okay.
You're living the dream, man.
Living the dream up here in the woods.
Up here in the woods. Good to see you, man. Yeah. So I'm feeling the pain from that too. My licenses that I use to run my business are now being taxed. I think people's bandwidth is going to be taxed. Internet utilization, now everybody's on the internet all the time now. So the public watering hole is getting a little bit more contaminated. So yeah, these are some interesting challenges. People not knowing how to teleconference that don't do it all the time. We're running into some of those challenges. So
and slow websites, looking at stuff and everything. And we also use Skype. We use a bunch of different ways. There's Skype and Slack and Microsoft Teams, and so they've got a lot of different options. But generally, the team you're working on has certain preferred ones they tend to use. And so coming from the company that before we got bought out, the preferred way was Skype. And now some of the other clients are using Slack and different things like that. And so, yeah, we're seeing some definite slowdowns, some problems in communicating because so many people's online. And we're not the only ones that's doing this. I know they just put India on a lockdown. Okay, we have over 300 coworkers over in India at what we call a remote development center, and and they do a lot of work for us because their cost is cheaper and so on. I'm kind of more the frontline person. They need somebody to talk to United States or something can be done. And some clients, just by law, are the overseas people are not allowed to work on their systems. The state of Florida is one of those. Okay, by their law they can't have somebody because they can't make them legally responsible for what they do. Therefore, they can't log into their system, and so they have to have USA personnel. And that's basically the reason I got my job with the state of Florida. And in that situation, that was before they did the merger and they didn't have people to do the tech support. Okay, they could, in the USA with the skill level that I had to do it. So yeah, the cases here are pretty low. I think we have one in our county, and we have two to the county south, and one the county north, and one the county northwest. Midland, Michigan is a little bit, has a few more, about 6 cases. Detroit's pretty hard. They have about 300 of their police department is in quarantine. Okay.
300 in the police department?
Yeah. Of the police officers are in quarantine.
300 police officers?
Yes.
Okay.
It turns out one of their dispatchers had it.
Yeah.
And they didn't know it. And so they've got 300 quarantine.
Wow.
Okay. And I believe the dispatcher has passed away, unfortunately.
Wow. Man, that is an extreme situation.
Yeah. I will go ahead and add a couple bits here, and then I'll kind of shut up. The one thing that I've noticed where, and I think, and a lot of us who do research has become aware, I knew we had usually flu deaths, okay? But with this coming on, I went and researched, and the amount of flus that's happened per week in the wintertime is actually deaths have been more than what we've had in coronavirus in the USA at this point in time. And but it's not being talked about. And I think that's one of the tragedies that's happening. I was unaware that the death rate was that high. Okay. And so CDC estimates that to be from 20,000 to 50,000 a year. And they have to do it as an estimate because they are not legally required to report a flu death. Okay. While they are currently required to report anything with the coronavirus.
Yeah, that doesn't change the severity of this. I
No,
understand what you're saying, and I'm not trying to axe grind with you. Whenever somebody starts to make a statement about the flu does this and this does that, I hear what you're saying, and with respect to you, I've just heard this so much, it's a little bit of a tender spot for me. I'll tell you how I take a statement like that. That's like saying when 150 people are killed in a mass shooting, it's not as bad as 3,000 people dying in 9/11. When you have people dying, a death is a death, and I don't like hearing statements like that. For me, I know you're doing your research and you want to pass along what you're hearing. Personally, I find statements like that to be completely dismissive of what's going on in people's lives. You know,
no, that's not what it's intended to be. Is what I'm saying. The tragedy is we're not paying attention to that as well. Okay. They are being ignored, and they both need to be given attention.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Well,
that's my statement. Okay. So please don't take it.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it so much, and I've the comparison to the flu, and this is not as bad as the flu, and the flu is worse, and the flu kills more people than this. I don't think any of those are valid statements because the flu is the flu. The flu has always been here. This is a new situation.
This is in addition to the flu.
This is in addition to the flu. This is contagious, like insanely contagious. And the minute we try to make any type of statement to trivialize this, I think this is just my opinion and how I feel about it. I'm bothered by statements like that. I'm not bothered by you personally, but these kind of rationalizations I don't think are serving any social justice.
Well, again, I mean, you're taking it as I'm rationalizing it, and I'm not. I'm saying we need to look at this virus and take care of it. But there's other things that we are also ignoring that we should be concerned about. And I think we probably agree on that. You know.
Well, I don't think anybody's ignoring the flu. The flu has always been the flu, and we have flu vaccines. And when people are suffering from flu symptoms, they can get treated like anything else. It's not like there isn't a treatment for the flu. We have a problem right now with we have something that there is no treatment for, and there's been a grossly cavalier disregard for this for so long that it's worse than it should have been if it was taken seriously sooner. That's the problem I have. Is that
I agree. You know, they've got us like on total lockdown, but they waited till it peaked up in Detroit before doing that. Instead of restricting Detroit area, okay, the counties around Detroit, when they first seen this peak, they waited, okay, and then locked everybody down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's underreaction, overreaction, typical government things. And why I say overreaction, we've got Upper Peninsula's locked down as where it's lower. And as far as to my knowledge, there's no cases whatsoever up there. And if people aren't traveling there, they shouldn't have to be locked down. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but and so there's areas that are affected a lot worse than there, and they didn't react quick enough. That's a given. People are dying. That's terrible. But it's terrible whatever they're dying of.
Absolutely.
And that's the only point that I wanted to make. And sometimes we need to be aware of some of these things and look at that, because this brings our focus on this, that we have things that people are dying, and we need to do what we can across the board to eliminate all those causes of dying.
Yeah.
And so, again, sometimes you hear things so much that people are saying, hey, this is not serious. It's definitely serious. I'm in that age group, okay, and that profile, okay. I'm 60 plus. I'm a male, okay, and it's that group that gets it hardest.
Yeah.
And I know there's others here in that same group, and it is definitely things we need to be concerned about.
Let's hear from Curtis. Or go ahead, Terry. You're going to say something.
I was just going to say, for me, we've heard so much, the media has had just so much, there's one problem after another. And it seems like a lot of times to blur the lines, they would make these stories worse than they were. So we would kind of deflect off of what didn't happen or did happen and look at the new thing. So I kind of looked at it as like, well, they're just doing that. It's not that big of a deal. It's not going to happen to us.
Yeah.
It is happening to us. And I think part of that's just we're constantly being bombarded with stories that we can't believe. We don't know what to believe and what not to believe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the problem with media, period. Your information is only as reliable as the outlet you choose, and every outlet is got its own
as a
biased agenda, right? So
of some sort. Yeah.
you're gonna get your Fox News, you're gonna get your CNN. Either one of them is slanted to one direction or the other. So where's the truthful middle ground? That's one challenge there too. Curtis Boyle and
Canada. I was watching the Disney Channel. I was figuring Tinkerbell was going to come along and save everything, but that didn't happen. So much for that news source.
How are things in Canada, in your part of Canada anyway, Saskatchewan?
We locked down before you guys did.
Yeah,
to be honest, because I think probably because we're part of the Commonwealth and we're kind of seeing what was happening with some of the other countries in the Commonwealth too, and I've been kind of monitoring Europe, and it's terrible there. Spain and Italy, France is just skyrocketing. It's still accelerating, like it's not really slowing down too much. Italy's leveled off, but then it peaked back up again, so who knows where it's going. But I also have a personal tie to it because this is a coronavirus, which is one that affects the respiratory system. And when the H1N1 came along, that one actually hit my uncle. And he was in an induced coma for 3 weeks on a ventilator. So Unfortunately, I'm quite familiar with the circumstance of what that's like to go through.
Did he pull out of it?
Yeah, he did. Now he's had permanent damage to his lungs. So his lungs only operate at like 40% capacity.
Wow.
And he said it was such a hell that if it happens to him again, and now with this current one going around, that might very well be because his immune system's already compromised somewhat. He said he does not want to be resuscitated. He does not want to go through the again. He said the treatment was as bad.
Wow.
So that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I think it's been hyped up a fair bit, but I think it's because they don't want to have a full-blown Spanish flu-sized pandemic. No, this is not the flu; it's a different thing.
Right.
But if it was left unchecked without the warnings, and I think the news probably did glamorize it somewhat more than they probably should have.
Sensationalized.
Sensationalized it. But I mean, they're still trying to tell facts. Like, this is dangerous. There is no treatment for it. The flu does kill quite a few people every year, but a lot of people just refuse to get flu shots too. So you can only help yourself.
I refuse.
Yeah.
I haven't had a flu or a cold in over 10 years, so I'm not getting the flu shot. It'll make me sick.
Yeah, but for some of the people that, just refuse just out of, no real reason. I mean, if you have a health issue that's related to it and why you can't have it, there are some people like that.
Sure,
I'm guessing
sure.
you're probably one of those. But for quite a few other people, it's just like, nah, I don't need it.
Yeah.
And then the herd immunity goes down.
It's the anti-vaxxing mentality where, vaccines are going to
Well, that's why we've had outbreaks of measles and other things, for the first time in 60 years. So
yeah.
Sometimes humanity's its own.
I'm not against vaccines. I've gotten every other vaccine.
Right. That one's not.
I just won't get the flu one because I'm just convinced that having gone over 10 years without catching the flu, I'm going to get the flu if I take the vaccination. So I won't do it.
Yeah. What's
apart from that, I'm waiting for him to come out with the COVID-19 vac. I'm going to take it as soon as it comes out.
Absolutely. What part of California are you in, Wayne? You in like Los Angeles proper? Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm in the San Fernando Valley, so I'm not in downtown, but
what's the
it's still LA City.
What's the foot traffic been like when you drive around now? Is there like a lot less people on the road?
Oh,
or is
it's
even
a lot less.
Even road traffic, is there a lot less? Because, LA is notorious for the freeways.
That's the funny part. The street traffic is going down a little more every day, but it's almost like people are refusing to believe it's that bad or something.
Yeah.
I still see a lot of cars on the street every day, even though we're not supposed to be driving unless we have to. And foot traffic is almost non-existent. Mostly all I see out on the sidewalks are homeless people.
Wow.
The ones that aren't in shelters already.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And the shelters that are open are all full, and when they issued the order to isolate, to what do they call that? Something in place.
Shelter or whatever it is.
Shelter in place, yeah. They closed the shelters, even if they had space, to anybody else coming in, because they didn't want to bring in somebody that might have it. So there's still quite a few people on the street that couldn't get into a shelter either because it was full or because they made it to where you couldn't get in now.
Wow.
So, but a lot of that, for a lot of those people, it's not just the shelters being full. A lot of them don't want to go to a shelter. And it's because they've accumulated so much stuff that they're afraid something's going to happen to it while they're in the shelter.
Wow. I noticed that I think this week is better than last week. Last week, here in kind of South Florida, Southeast Florida, trying to get into any regular grocery market was a little bit insane. There was the whole hysteria of the toilet paper, bottled water, hand sanitizer type stuff. And so you couldn't get in a store. It was, it was pandemonium, mass hysteria. Now I can go into Walmart, I can go into Sam's Club, I can go to a lot of places. I can get in and I can get out. 99% of everything you need is there. The only thing that's not there is basically what's on the paper aisles. But, I've gotten cleaning supplies. I've gotten things. We're still getting food. So I think a lot of your everyday grocery type items still seem to be available to us right now. It's not like it's not like when it is when we're getting ready for hurricane season where, 2 days before the storm hits, everybody decides now's the time to get gas and get groceries and, the state shuts down. I think some of the panic has subsided a little bit when it comes to going to some of your markets. But the public traffic stuff has definitely subsided. I went into a restaurant for lunch today and it was takeout, but I went in, I got my food, got it in a bag, and I left. You're in and out. There were so many people lined up through the drive-through. I'm like, all right, let me just see if they're open. I parked, I walked in, and I got my chicken strips and I got out. So, luckily there are businesses that are still open, which is good. We still got to eat. Gas station's not a problem so far. So, really, I'm hoping that normalcy will return, and hopefully toilet paper will return in the near future too, and idiots will stop buying a shopping cart full of toilet paper before before the world burns.
What happened out here was it got so bad on people buying up all the toilet paper that one store, and this made the news, one store stopped a person that had two or three shopping carts full of toilet paper and said, "You can't buy all that."
There should be some
So they
sensible
started-
limitations.
Well, that's what they started doing out here. They started limiting how much you can buy, because they weren't going to let this guy buy all this toilet paper and leave the shelf empty when there were so many
No.
other people wanting it.
Yeah, yeah.
But to me,
That's
the irony is we get a pandemic going with a disease that can kill us, and everybody's worried about toilet paper.
Yeah, and this doesn't cause diarrhea or anything. It's a,
Yeah,
it's a respiratory.
hmm That's the part I could never put two and two together on, but that's what we went for.
Yeah. Here that actually stopped within a week or two. I mean,
Yeah.
the news was hyping up in Canada wide, national news, local news. Everybody was saying like, quit doing this. You know, just buy your one set like you normally would. They'll be restocked. Don't worry about it.
Right.
And you know, that hasn't been an issue. Now our local grocery stores, on the other hand, do have the entire area that's in front of all the lanes where you get your food, like the actual cashiers, is all completely blocked off. You can't get in there except for one person who directs traffic, and as soon as one till empties, they wave the next person in line to come in and go to that till specifically, so they never cross paths. And then they have the forced, you know, social distancing of people lined up with carts just snaking around the store, you know, 6 to 10 feet apart type thing. So I got to experience that in the weekend.
My wife was, I guess it was a week ago, she was going to Walmart, and there was a line of people with shopping carts waiting to get in, and she thought they were like a line to get in the store. These were people who were waiting to get the little wipes to wipe off the handle bar for the shopping cart. So she's like, "You guys are all standing here and whatever," and she's like, "There's no reason why I can't just go in right now." No. So she's like, "All right," boom, we went in. So there are people now are just waiting for that. It's crazy. It absolutely.
Yeah, here they
is.
were wiping them down pretty actively. Even those little
Yeah.
one person cart, like the little handle.
Yeah,
carts
yeah,
there, they
what-
were wiping them off in front of you, so you could see they were
Yeah,
properly
yeah,
wiped, they
that,
would
yeah,
hand it to
yeah,
you type
that,
thing. Yeah.
that's been going on now too. So I was at the Walmart Fresh Market the other day, or whatever, Neighborhood Mart, and at Sam's Club, I think they're doing that. So now they have somebody standing outside the door pre-wiping things down and handing you a
Yeah.
sanitized cart, which is kind of cool when you think about it.
This Myers is our local chain, and so we'll have Walmart and Myers as the big chains, and then some places there's Kroger's. But once you get in the more rural areas, it'll be Walmart or Myers are small local grocery stores. Okay, and Myers was doing the wipe off and the things, and they had finally limited down to 2 packages of toilet paper last week. The week before, they were allowing them to grab 5 packages. So you imagine the people grabbing those great big packages and taking 5 of them out.
Yeah.
You know, but they were letting them do it, and that's one of the reasons. You know, they didn't foresee this. You know, if they'd limited it earlier, there'd be a whole lot less problems.
Yeah, it amazes me that common sense never seems to prevail. Obviously the panicking douchebag consumer doesn't have the sense to not hoard when they shop, but you would think the store management and the staff should imply their own set of common sense rules to say, let's put a reasonable limit on these things so there's enough to go around. How about maybe 2 packs of toilet paper per shopping cart or something? And
we do have that here now, but at the beginning they didn't. Yeah.
You almost need.
Well, it never is at the beginning.
Yeah, you need a
And the
National
reason that it's
Guard
not-
to enforce this for you. It's
Well, the
ridiculous.
reason that it's not there in the beginning is because the only thing the store is looking at is all the money coming into the register.
Hmm.
You know, oh, look at all these sales. We're making money. And it's only when people start to hurt from it that they stop and go, oh, well, maybe it's not such a good idea after all.
Yeah,
It makes them look bad.
the young man over the produce section was saying they was ordering everything that they could possibly order, you know, in as far as potatoes and stuff, then just accepting what they could get. And so, yeah. And there's a statement I heard, and always when somebody says common sense, I always think of it anymore. And it was a statement: "There's no such thing as common sense."
Yeah, it's the greatest paradox there is.
It was kind of funny. I live in a town that's I think there's 900 people in this town, and we've got a grocery store and a little dollar type store, and everybody was being cool. I mean, there was stuff to go around. Well, someone from Cheyenne, which is a pretty big town, must have came through and put on Facebook, Pine Bluffs has
No, there you go.
stuff. And
There you go.
we had 30 cars in this place within 2 hours and nothing left. So
Yeah.
now we're kind of, and we're going to be last on the refill chain as opposed
Because you're
to
a smaller. Yeah.
it kind of hurts for and a lot of elderly people in this town, so it kind of sucks for them. And
Yeah.
a lot of us will go up and get stuff, and then we look like hoarders, but we're getting it for our neighbors and stuff. So it's kind of a mess. To be
Yeah, it
honest.
is. One of my favorite shows, my favorite genre of shows to always watch are the post-apocalyptic shows. So things like The Walking Dead, and like when they used to have Falling Skies, all these shows that show with how people deal with things after the world's gone to hell. And there's a common theme is that basically people are scumbags, and he who has the most guns ends up being the best off, and we don't have any level of balance and sanity or anything else like this. And you think, oh, this is a fictional setting, this is a science fiction thing. I see it every year at hurricane season. What a bunch of scumbags people are. They buy, pallets full of water bottles and everything else that they don't need that much, but they want to buy the store just to screw everybody else. And then the day after the hurricane, the same scumbags are trying to bring everything back. So it's like you've screwed out 15 other people from getting bottled water because you're a schmuck. And now you want to return it because you don't need it. So there isn't an ounce of civility in us the minute we think the world's going straight to hell. And I see actual proof of this on an annual basis here in South Florida during hurricane time. We're seeing it happen globally now. We have this real douchey survival instinct to let's get it all, before it's gone.
I've seen it in earthquakes. Because we had the last major quake we had was 1994, I believe it was 94, 93, somewhere in there. And in the apartment building I was living in at the time, I watched as everybody on my street went to the electronics store on the corner, busted the windows, busted the doors, and started taking electronics home.
Looting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what you think you're supposed to do in an emergency.
Yeah. Grab a stereo.
Go get a new TV for free.
Yeah, it's crazy. Of course, I'm over general. Sorry, Curtis, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say it because I live in a smaller city. I see a bit more of the Terry side of things, where the people that in the city are trying to help each other. We had an initial burst, for half a week, and then everybody kind of calmed down and figured, this is stupid buying 15 bags of toilet paper type thing. And then we started, having stuff left on the shelves. I mean, you run out of certain things, like a certain specific type of canned food might have ran out, but it's restocked the next day. So we haven't actually had a lot of those issues. And to me, it seems like I think the smaller city, smaller town mentality is that you do try to help each other out. I don't think that's a blanket case where it turns into Walking Dead. It seems to be in the big areas. I mean, looking at New York right now, who's going through the worst of it, I mean, they do seem to be trying to help each other out for the most part. I mean, obviously there's some looting and stuff, but they do seem to be sticking together at this point.
And this is kind of the attitude I do. I mean, we went in last weekend, and they finally had some facial tissues in Myers. I bought 2 or 3 boxes, but there was still a lot left on the shelf. And trying to say, okay, what do I need? For the period of time they said we're going to be locked down. Of course, they changed that now after I bought. So, but and again, we're in a kind of a small town here. We're probably, what I was thinking, maybe 700 people in the little town, but this is kind of a community that outside we've got some suburbs or housing additions. I imagine there's that many around outside of the town too. What we got in town, because we got a little lake just north of us. There's some houses and stuff there, and so it's kind of, we're kind of rural, but we still have some population, and so there's a lot going on there. And of course, I grew up in a small town, about 600 people, and yes, you do try to help people out, and you look.
I feel that John Mellencamp song coming on here in just a second here. Yeah, so John Cougar Mellencamp is about ready to kick in. Sorry about that, John. I cut you off. So
I did believe it was the end days. My son actually said it. He goes, "We can't get potatoes," and he said, "Dad, I've never seen you eat cauliflower before." And I said, "Hopefully you never will again."
Yeah, I mean, luckily here, I mean, I'm in a fairly small town, Port St. Lucie, and there is a lot of community cohesion going on here. A lot of people advocating, supporting local businesses, and make sure you go visit a restaurant and try to do what you can to keep. There's so many businesses impacted right now. Food service is really taking a beating. Not being able to have a dining room full of customers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, huge cash flow problem. So, and what is interesting to see is how a lot of these food places are adapting and promoting. Hey, listen, I didn't even know they did it, but the other day my kids ordered McDonald's on their freaking phone from an app and got free delivery. And because McDonald's is like, listen, man, we got to sell food. We don't, we're not able to sell 10 billion burgers, a year now, whatever that sign used to say, because we don't have people coming through the dining room. So it is impressive to see how quickly some businesses are adapting to this and promoting.
The ones that can,
promoting takeout and delivery, curbside, things like that, just to try.
Like the ones that are really hurting right now are some of the service industries. Like if you want to get a haircut.
Yeah, that was that. Hey, right here, that happened to me. I wanted to get one. It was really funny because I have the app on my phone for Great Clips, and I was just gonna make an appointment. As soon as you log in, there's this big warning message. It's like, oh yeah, we're all on top of this COVID-19. We've been sanitary from day one, and we're taking extra steps. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're doing this. And then I go to look at all the little map pins, and everyone says close, 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 close.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, I can't get a freaking haircut.
Pretty soon we're
right
all gonna
now.
look like Nick Marotta.
Yeah.
That's,
So
where we're heading.
yeah. So haircuts. I can't get my hair did, my nails did. What are we gonna do here?
Yeah, like gyms are closed if you're into the gyms and stuff too.
Yeah.
So it's been fun walking around. Like I have to walk out. Like we have external mailboxes now. They put in a decade ago where you have to walk half a block to your mailbox, a big shared metal thing. So wash your hands after you're done getting your mail.
Yeah, gas pumps.
But, when you're watching people walk, like you'll see some people walking dogs or whatever, but people actually will walk out into the street to go around to make sure that 6 foot distance is kept. They're all polite, just like, hi neighbor. And way
nothing,
to go,
nothing personal. I just don't want you breathing on me.
Yeah.
The phrase nothing personal
is
being said more these days than it has been in a long time.
What I find shocking is that it's taken something like this to have a global awareness of things like, hey, how about you wash your hands after you go somewhere and before you put food in your mouth? Oh gosh, I never thought of that. I never thought of using hand soap. I never thought of sanitational concepts. I am so glad that we've got Facebook now to educate me on this. Some of those basic things just never occurred to anybody apparently. So
now I have a question for you guys because I joined late here. So did you guys discuss how this affects your jobs too? Or?
We did, yeah. And I don't know if I asked you that. I was asking you how is it affecting your job, Curtis?
Oh, pretty drastically. I mean, I work from home, so as far as the actual work, it's pretty well the same as it would have been.
Yeah.
The problem is that several of my larger clients are in states or provinces that have been completely shut down for non-essential services.
Okay.
So, and I just came out of rush season, so there's about $9,500 worth of outstanding invoices, and all their accounting departments are off now, like they're shut down. So I don't know when I will see this money. So
wow, yeah.
For the next probably couple months at least, that's just out. I mean, it's nice that both the United States and Canadian governments have now announced, emergency packages for employers and employees, et cetera. I still got to pay my employee too. So
yeah.
These financial aids will definitely help to get over the hump here for the next while. So I was glad to see that both of us basically had things in place by today.
Yeah. Right now, it has not impacted my workflow much at all, and it has not only has it not impacted my cash flow currently, but I'm actually getting a little bit of boom in kind of ad hoc services that I'm doing. Most of my revenue is monthly recurring revenue from my clients. I don't usually do a lot of transactional based things, but I'm getting a lot more of these transactional based things right now. I don't know if that's going to taper off.
Yeah,
and
I've got the exact opposite because
Yeah.
I mean, most of my clients are in the sports industry, and as you've probably heard, most sports have been canceled now.
Yeah.
So basically, I had some other jobs that were coming in for late baseball leagues and stuff that normally would be doing now for playing in May.
Yeah.
All canceled. So my future revenue has gone down, and my current revenue is suspended until at least some of these companies come out of the lockdown. So
I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen with well, from what I heard the other day, Trump was talking about issuing $1,200 to each and every person.
That just got approved today, I think, didn't it, in the Senate?
No, I don't know. I hadn't heard, but I was waiting to hear because I want to know who's going to get it and who's not.
From what I heard, it's based on you got to be a taxpayer, and it's based on your last year's tax return. If your last reported annual is going to tell you if you financially qualify for this or not. So, as long as you filed a tax return, you should be eligible to based on your income. That was one of the sources I had heard just recently on the local news. They were interviewing somebody.
Yeah, I heard the limit was 70,000. If you make more than 70,000, you don't get it.
Okay.
Oh, well, then I guess I'm eligible. I only made 54 last year.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Sometimes being an underachiever works to your advantage. So.
Yeah, even
I'm going to be a millionaire then. Huh?
Yeah, right. So.
Yeah, some of those figures are not really totally settled, but it's like up to maybe 120,000 for a couple, and 100 you can make, and so it's going to depend. It's for each adult, so there's depending on how many there you have, like 2 kids, if I remember right, Steve. And
2 that I know of, yeah. Right.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't going that way, but they were talking about, for your children, maybe 500 apiece for each child
and
in the family.
I think what considers to be a child, I'd heard to it on this news report, was 17 and under.
Yeah.
But yeah. But with all these things, I figure it's nice to hear that stuff is probably happening, but I don't write any checks against any of this stuff unless it actually happens. So remain optimistic, but realistic at the same time. So
yes.
We're talking about the government here. So
it has not happened.
There you go. Because when they go, okay, Steve, you're eligible. You'll get it in 6 months if you're lucky.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember
we're here to help.
Yeah, I had, it was in 2008 when there was a stimulus to buy new homes. And I had bought a new home and I qualified for that stimulus. And I knew at some point in time I was going to get $8,000 from Obama. And we called it the Obama check. We kept waiting on that Obama check for I don't know how long. And, originally it was 6 to 8 weeks for this. And then now it's been a year. It's been a year and a half now, And so now you're dealing with the IRS. The only thing the IRS is good at is screwing us. They're not good at giving us money. So that 6 to 8 week period, I don't remember how long it took, but waiting on that free money, it was like, on the one hand, you're kind of, man, this sucks. I wish I had it. But on the other hand, it's like, you know what? There's really no wrong time to get free money. It'd be nice to have it sooner, but whenever you get it, it's never a bad time either. So,
my understanding is both in the States and Canada. In this case, it's going to be rushed through because a lot of people are completely out of work or laid off. Yeah,
this should be
a different situation.
A national emergency.
Free mortgage supplements.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Wayne.
But there is a wrong time to get free money.
When you need it.
When you're no longer there to get it.
Yeah, well, that's true. Let's remember, put me down as a dependent. Or what's the next of kin?
I've got 250,000 dependents.
Yeah, right. So
I thought they said depends, not dependent.
Terry, one point.
Yeah, so it's affecting a lot of people a lot of different ways. I deal with a lot of realtors, and that the fact that people now are possibly not going to buy a house because they're uncertain of the economy and this and that and the other. Is this house even going to be worth what I bought it for? Is my job going to be steady? So that's really affecting a lot of industries, and the real estate industry affects a lot of other industries. So there's a whole ripple effect on all kinds of stuff. And
we had, I think by last week, we had 1 million EI applications, and our country's like a tenth the size of yours. That gives you besides the amount of people that are off work. Now, on the other hand, Walmart's trying to hire 100,000 people to help stock shelves, clean everything up. and open the tills and stuff here for serving food, et cetera, too. And some of the other grocery stores have bumped up all their wages. $2 an hour is a kind of a danger pay supplement.
Yeah, hazard pay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Kroger's sending emails out saying they're hiring. Amazon's hiring. Walgreens is hiring.
Well, that's good. In some
Yeah, there's
cases.
some temporary jobs here to help deal with the immediate situation with some of the people getting laid off.
Yeah, God bless you.
Thank you.
I'm going to give a plug to where my daughter works right now. My daughter, my oldest daughter, who's 18, her current job is she's working at Target here. And for the employees, they're paying them an extra couple bucks an hour more, kind of like hazard pay, like you're saying. And the other day, they had a deal where the employees could come into work an hour early to buy some essential supplies for themselves. They still had sensible limits on things, but she was able to come in at whatever it was, 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, an hour before the store opened, and buy some things that they did for their employees. So I thought that was kind of cool, you know.
Other stores are actually doing it for anybody
For the
over
seniors.
60.
Yeah, like a senior hour, and I'm hearing that a lot of young
Yeah,
people
Walmart's
are
doing
coming
that
in
up here, which
taking-
impressed me because I'm not usually impressed by Walmart. But,
yeah.
Yeah, Sam's Club's doing it here. I know the grocery store chain I spoke. Normally, employees are not allowed to set anything back, and they have to wait till the end of their shift to get food or anything they need to set back to do that. They're being allowed to get, you know, reasonable amounts of stuff for them so they can continue to work. Yes.
Yeah. You know what is a little bit scary? Just, you know, seeing how poorly I mean, we were balancing underreacting and overreacting, especially in the early stages of this coming along. But and for, you know, I'm really against people who try to downplay this and trivialize this, but for a second I'm going to do that. This is quote unquote only a virus. Imagine if this was something worse. How prepared are we, not only as a nation in America, but globally? How prepared are we to deal with something worse than this? You know, right now we're dealing with something that we don't know about and we don't have a cure for. And we're giving out good advice to people that aren't following the advice. Common sense is not prevailing. And like I think Wayne said earlier, common sense doesn't exist. And so for those who didn't understand, hey, you need to wash your hands. We told you that. It's all over the media. It's all over social media. It's all over the internet. Wash your freaking hands.
Yeah, stay 6 feet apart. That wasn't being followed.
Stay
There's
inside.
even people doing coronavirus parties where they're trying to infect each other.
So what happens when the next thing happens that is actually extremely severe? You know, how are we going to deal with that? I don't. Yeah. I'm scared. I'm scared, man.
This is the reason why I brought up the items on the flu, because the other thing I did not bring up, and it doesn't really occur in the United States, but is getting a little bit of resurgence in the tuberculosis in other countries, which there is cure for. Okay, 1.5 million or more people die every year of tuberculosis. Now that hits home because I know the long-term effects of that. My dad had it during World War II, and so, you know, I lived with him having a hole in his lung, and getting sick, and sometimes very seriously because he didn't have the strength in that lungs to do things sometimes, and so. This is really kind of the background of my reasoning of bringing it up, even though you thought you take it as trivializing, because a lot of people are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing was to say, hey, there is other things here that we need to be looking at too. It's not like we don't quit looking at this. We don't quit taking care of this. But there's other things that need to be took care of. The cleanliness in the restaurants and things like that. That's been
sanitation. Yeah.
That's been a problem for quite some time, and it's not really there. People they're supposed to clean this, and they don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to wake a few people up. I hope. Okay, for long term. And but I can still remember some of my first times that I was in downtown Fort Wayne. Okay, we there, and of course this was a bigger city that wasn't there, and looking around, and they still had the signs and the plaques from the tuberculosis. Spitting is illegal, okay, there because that's one way it got spit. they're spread. And I am old enough that I know people who were affected by polio.
Yeah, me too.
And, you know, this was a terrible thing. And it happens. And, you know, we need the way to take care of it. You know, we have a healthcare system in the United States that's driven by profit, even though much of it claims they're nonprofit. Okay. I worked at one, you know, I knew they built onto their system regularly just so they could claim that they weren't making a profit, rather than investing in sometimes, and they do some good investments. Not saying that everything they do is wrong, but it's, you know, this long-term disaster type thing. Sometimes they were just not really preparing a lot. And I also think in the United States and other places, this just-in-time supply chain is hitting us real hard in this case. You know, I'm in favor of having trade with other countries and so on, but I'm not in favor of us having to depend on other countries for our essentials. Okay. And I think that's happening in the US just much too much. Okay. And, you know, we need to share our wealth because we're one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We need to help other countries out. But we also need to be prepared enough that when things like this happen, that we can stand on our own and get our own took care of, for then we can help others.
Yeah.
If you
It's
can't
kind of like
function
those announcements at the beginning of the airplane. They say, you know, if we're going to lose cabin pressure, the oxygen masks are going to drop down. Make sure you put it on yourself before you try to put it on the person next to you, because you can't help somebody else if you pass out, right? So it's kind of, once you've established your own stability and infrastructure, it makes it easier to support somebody when you're self-sustaining. So
well, and actually, your body passes out sometimes a lot quicker than the oxygen level you would think would indicate.
Yeah.
Because your body shuts down to conserve oxygen. Okay, so you're going to pass out quicker. And I found that out firsthand. I had my stepdaughter choked at a restaurant. She was talking one moment, the next moment she was hitting the floor from her chair, and you know, and had to get it dislodged out of her throat. But it happened, and you know, just like a snap. She was, I think, you know, was talking, and the next thing you knew, she's on the floor. And so, yes, things like this happen so quickly. You have to have, you know, enough things for the first responders to be able to take care of this. And, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever worked at any place in healthcare. I did IT support, you know, for 3 years or better at a hospital. So, you know, I've had a lot of, you know, training, you know, on isolation procedures and stuff. And then when I taught at the prison, some of that stuff was redone, because, you know, we had a lot of people that was isolated. They couldn't take care of herself, and as staff, there was emergency, you were responsible for making sure they were kept safe. You know,
now, to extend on what Steve said too, I think one other thing we have to do is we have to realize there are going to be certain things that are global, like this one is, and we have to have a global response. We can't have just the States, you know, having whatever technology that's going to help, or just Germany, or just the UK, or just Australia, or just Canada. We have to come up with a unified, and this includes whatever your political ideology is. It doesn't matter if you're a communist country, a dictatorship, whatever, because something like this affects everybody.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a world response, or the human race will eventually go extinct with one of these things.
Well, let's remember that when Europe started getting really bad with this thing, they developed a testing kit. The United States refused to accept it because it wasn't made in America.
Yep.
Right. The most
and
stupid
the CDC's
thing I
first
ever
one
heard
didn't
in my
work.
life. Yeah.
Well, my problem with it, and again, when I'm just sharing kind of my take on certain things. I'm not picking on you guys or anything else too, but I have heard so many different versions of the stories on. We were offered kits, but we knew what the kits were, and they weren't as good as the ones that we had. You know, so my problem with the information that we're getting is, What and this is another thing right now. So this coronavirus has opened up people's eyes to things like, hey, you should be washing your hands, idiots. But it's also opening up people's eyes to how much media manipulation is going on all the time. This has been going on forever, but now we're seeing it under a larger microscope because it's affecting us directly. There's been so much media manipulation and misinformation about pick any topic anywhere that's on the real media, that's on social media. This is not new, but it's now we're seeing it because we're paying attention, right? Because this is affecting our livelihoods and our work and our lifestyles. We're paying attention to the fact that, man, everybody's talking out of their ass, you know? So it doesn't matter who your source is. Who can you trust? I've had this problem. This is why I'm not political, because I don't know who to believe. I don't know what source to believe. I don't trust Fox News any more than I trust CNN. So who the hell can I trust?
I didn't hear about it.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I've been hearing all these stories about, well, this test was given and we refused this test. And then I've heard the reason why we refused it, you know? So I'm hearing all these things. The challenge is what can you believe? You know, when it comes to things that are being circulated in the quote-unquote news that's out there.
The challenge is also that humanity has to learn to defend itself as a whole and not have these little silos of, you know, religious ideologies or political ideologies or anything else. When we get something like a pandemic, a global pandemic, we have to react as a human race, not as a bunch of these little silos. Like if we ever had an alien invasion, we would probably kill each other trying to solve the problem before we even worried about the aliens. We're at that point now.
They would just turn us against each other, and it would be done because it's so easy to do.
Yeah, but just light a fuse, watch us kill ourselves, and they just take over with no resistance at all. I mean, that's literally what we're finding out during this pandemic is that we had this. Now that's starting to change. Now people are starting to share technology. You know, people are sending stuff over between countries. If one country doesn't need so many ventilators, they might send some to the States, and masks are going to Italy and Spain, and you know that kind of thing. We are seeing a little bit of humanity trying to pull itself together here as a whole, but it's kind of scary how separate and
it doesn't seem to be the first reaction. It seems to be like the 15th reaction. You know,
it seems to be the reaction when there's no other reaction left to do, basically.
Well, that's part of what I'm talking about. When I heard that story about the government refusing to buy the test kits because they weren't made in America, it was when we didn't have any test kits. The United States wanted to develop their own. They didn't want to buy somebody else's. And that was when I heard the story, was before we even had a test kit.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm old enough.
And John, just try to keep it short because you know I want everybody to get a chance to speak. So
yes. Well, I'm just saying, you know, my parents went through the World War II and the Great Depression, and so the things that people did in World War II, it took a while to get together, you know, people traveling and the women working in the defense factories, you know, mom did rivets on an airplane, you know, and Wisconsin, you know, and she was from Michigan, and things like that. You know, people went to work in defense plants and things before they were drafted. Guys did, and things like that. And so as a disaster comes, you know, it really hits. The United States tends to grab and to work together, but it takes a lot to get them started.
We're going to shift.
Yeah, but I think we have to look beyond just a single country working together. There's that too, but we need the world to work together on something like this.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to do. And we've just been joined by another person who's not from the United States, so it'd be interesting to hear some more perspectives. That's Nick Marotta. How you doing?
I'm good, Stevie. How are you doing, man?
What part of the world do you hail from?
I am from Ottawa, Canada. Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, and that's a bigger chunk of community than Curtis is at, right?
That's our Washington D.C. That's our center of parliament.
Yes, Ontario is a very is one of the larger provinces in Canada.
And how is Corona affecting your town as far as people going outside, businesses, restaurants? I mean, is it?
Yeah, we've been told basically, no essential. A lot of businesses are closed. There's a list of essential businesses that are allowed to be open. Anybody who sells food or anything like that are allowed to have takeout or delivery. Same thing is going on in a lot of places in the U.S.
Yeah, and our prime minister is actually, staying at home right now too because his wife actually has COVID. So
Prince
he's
Charles
on a 14
had it
day.
too.
And he's been
Prince Charles just got it.
Yeah.
He's been having to beg people to stay home, and they're going to start enforcing it if people don't start doing it on their own. So.
Yeah, it's amazing how little common sense has prevailed on a global level. And what is it going to take for people to heed advice that affects life? That's the part
And unfortunately, it's going to take something like an Italy or Spain level epidemic in whatever area you're in to get people to really.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know how the average American took the news of a country closing itself down. When you hear something like Italy closed its borders and basically shut itself off from the world, what does an average person who's not globally politically minded going to think about that? I mean,
I don't think they do think about it. To be
are they
honest.
thinking, well, that's Italy? They're
Yeah,
what are they? Are they
that's a
the
primitive
third?
backwater.
Are they the third world? Do they don't have technology? I mean, most people don't realize that the United States is not the center of anything when it comes to healthcare, medicine, technology, social systems. So we'd like to think that we are the beacon and the leader in so many areas, but I would think most of the rest of the civilized world has probably got better healthcare systems than we do. Italy is not a freaking dirt rock. So this is an entire country. They've got great healthcare. They've got technology. They've got, so when you have a country close itself down, why is that not a huge red flag for people?
Yeah, or seeing their military hauling all the coffins out because they can't bury them. They don't even have room to cremate them all. They're hauling like 700 people a day that have died out to a mass burial type thing. Like you'd think that would shake some.
This is like a plague. This is a plague level event.
Yeah.
Well, some people are focusing on the fact that it targets older people especially, but
it's not anymore. That's the problem.
No, we had somebody in California die who was 19, 17, whatever, a teenager with no pre-existing conditions. So, I mean, up until now, it's been, it just affects old people. It's not going to affect me.
I mean, it's almost as careless as, people, young people or whatever, having unprotected sex. It's like, listen, you think you're immune and invincible and that's not going to happen to me, but you're just being careless. You're playing Russian roulette. And the more stupid people do the stupid things, the greater the chances are this stuff is going to continue to spread. And that's kind of what people are doing, just leaving the house, It's insane.
Yeah. Like you look at Italy, and I mean, if you guys, I don't know if the American news has been covering it as much as they have in Canada, but I mean, we've been seeing a lot of the footage from them in the hospitals. There's actually doctors saying we're picking anybody who's over 60. We're not even treating them anymore. We don't have ventilators to even keep them going. We're trying to keep the younger people alive. So just anybody over 60 who catches it, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've got, as of today, as of right now, I just checked, they have over 7,500 people have died in the span of like 3 weeks.
That's huge. That's huge.
And I mean, that should give somebody's head a shake at the very least. Like that's coming now. That's starting to happen in New York. That same level, that same growth curve is happening right there right now. So I just don't understand why that doesn't get through.
One of the other red flags should have been like when it was the NHL or the NBA said, screw it, we're not having the season. And this was a month ago when, a national sports league just says we are not having a season. That should be a huge, giant red flag.
I mean, the Masters is gone, the NHL is gone, the NBA is gone.
Some schools are closed down for the rest of the year.
And
most of ours are.
Yeah, Disney. You know how much money Disney makes in a day at their parks around the world? So for Disney to basically say, look, we're shutting down. We're saying, screw you, $1 billion a day, because the money is not as important as the risk. When Disney closes down, is that not enough for people to say, hey,
yeah, this is serious now.
Yeah, this is serious. We have entire countries that have closed down, and like you're saying, 7,500 people dying. You can't bury the dead fast enough. The fact that this information has been out there, and as a world, and especially in the United States, how we've just been so downplaying this, it just blows my mind.
Well, just to give you an update too, go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
I don't want to start anything political, but I mean, Trump is hoping that businesses will be back up and running by Easter, which is extremely optimistic.
Yeah, well, as long as he puts
I would
on
say
his bunny
ludicrous.
ears, if he puts on his bunny ears and grabs a basket, then we'll all be good. What were you going to say, Curtis?
Well, I was just checking the updated stats here, and the United States, as of this evening, has passed the 1,000 deadline themselves.
Yeah.
And this is
Stevie, I
just the
like the
start of it.
analogy of the beacon, thinking we were the beacon.
Yeah.
I think we were, but nobody checked to see if the bulb would burn out.
I read an article today saying that some of the tests in Canada are even inaccurate. Like the report.
Yeah, some of the Ontario ones apparently were a little bit off. Yeah.
Yeah, the early.
So the numbers are probably lower than we think. As to
Well,
how
they're
many
lower
people
everywhere
have it.
because a lot of people, they don't have enough tests right now, so they're not testing everybody that potentially could have it. They're only testing people that are showing the severe symptoms. So if you have a light, cough or something, and you think you just have a cold, but you actually have COVID, you could be wandering around thinking, I just got a cold, I'm fine. Government said I didn't need to be tested. You're spreading it everywhere, and then some other
already.
people might get the heavy version of it.
Yeah. The thing that really burns me too is when you and again, it's coming from the quote unquote news. So is it full of shit or not? We don't know. But when you hear the stories about some jackass from New York knew he was infected and he knew he tested positive for it and he decided to fly to Florida. All right. Is this true? Is this not true? I don't know. But if it is true, that's the one person that you just kind of want to beat the shit out of. Right. So it's like,
We just had a woman in Nova Scotia who returned from a trip, was tested and positive, and she refused to self-isolate for the 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of her neighbors ratted on her. The RCMP went up to her and she started, fighting with them, saying, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'll just do what I want." They've arrested her.
Yeah.
She's in jail now. She's facing a $2,000 fine and possibly up to 6 months.
Yeah.
For ignoring the quarantine, because she's tested positive. She for sure has it. Like, I don't know where your head is at when you do stuff like that.
The other question too, again, not getting political, and it's hard to make a statement about this without you thinking that you're being, racist or nationalist or something. But we know this came from China, and we know that China covered this up for a long time, and that this could have been contained and addressed in a better manner sooner. And if it had, it would not have been as big as it was. And other than the fact that we know that, what would ever be done to hold them accountable for the fact that they let the genie out of the bottle and, censored this information, not only from their country, but from the world. And now all these deaths are happening. I mean, is that a criminal offense? And who's the police that's going to put them in jail if it is, I don't even know if that's
they're
possible.
not going to be held accountable.
Yeah. It's almost like, Curtis, you're muted. Did you just try talking?
I was just going to say, knowing what happened with China, knowing also how fast this virus spreads, it spreads at a much greater rate than the flu too. I don't think, honestly, if China had been more public about it, they would have been able to completely clamp it down. I think they could have slowed it down. They might have been able to isolate it, but there's enough people going through Wuhan, city of 11 billion people, that it probably would have gotten out anyway, but it probably would have been greatly slowed.
Yeah.
And they definitely didn't help the rest of the world by not admitting to it until
not only not
when they
admitting
renewed
to
in
it,
December.
covering it up. Yeah. So
Yeah,
No, Russia's covering it up, and now they're finally admitting, actually, this is a lot worse here than we thought, because they said, we only have 500 cases, we're fine.
Who said that?
Russia. Putin actually went and visited one of the hospitals yesterday in a hazmat suit.
Wow. Yeah. I've been wondering about that. So we have not heard, again, maybe these are because these are communist countries and their news outlets aren't globally shared, but we haven't been hearing too many numbers from Russia and North Korea.
Yeah, Russia officially is around 500 or just over that. I think I haven't checked today yet, but yesterday was 500. And their own doctors are saying, no, it's many times higher than that.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, now there's a shame. We don't want to admit that we're the country with the most dead people, because now we have this global pride thing going on here. And that'd be the same stupid thing if we were given test kits and we refused them because of pride. Oh, these are coming from Germany. We can't take it. And again, I take anything I hear with a grain of salt. I don't believe it, but anything's possible. But if we refuse this information based on, national pride, shame on us, and if they're not admitting how many people are dying in their country because of national pride, and I'm sure that's factoring into a lot of this, then shame on you. Pride and profits should not come before people, honestly, in the perfect
They shouldn't,
world.
but they do.
Yeah.
That's why that one, and this is probably going to get a little bit political, I apologize, but that one, was it a lieutenant governor or something in Texas who was saying that seniors should offer themselves up so the economy doesn't go bad for the young? don't know if you guys heard
Yeah,
that.
let's
from
just
today's-
kill everybody over 60. That'll solve the problem.
Like
Remember-
that just floored me that he actually said that out loud on an interview. Like what?
There's been so much stuff you hear that it's just like, oh my God, people stop
Do
talking.
you remember the show Logan's Run?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Anybody over
Yeah.
30. Yeah, out the window. So in this case here, I almost wish it would be in the other direction. We need to get the young, stupid people. We need a disease to take them out. So the rest of us older, logical people that can contribute to society are going to stay around and be productive. You young idiots, just be gone.
Well,
with
that's
you.
what the Spanish flu was, because that hit people from like 18 to 40 the most. So,
so
Well,
including
you
my
know, the
great uncle.
COVID-19 will morph into that if it lasts long enough.
Well, it's already coming down. I mean, right now in New York, I think they said 54% of the hospitalization cases now are between the ages of 19 to 49. So
Yeah.
it's shifted the demographic down. Less seniors are getting ill in the hospital than people our age or younger, depending on which one of us I'm referring to.
Yeah, I don't think there's any young people here, so yeah.
Well, it matters who's taking it serious, and so the seniors are taking it serious, and the young people weren't. Therefore, they weren't looking for help as quickly, and other things. So that's going to skew it quickly.
So
when you don't follow those rules.
Hey, Gordy. Here's a question. This is the hypothetical question, but how do you think we would have reacted? Let's say, all right, day 1, day 0, patient 0. United States knew about this conspiracy theory. They knew about it. How would you guys feel if on day 2 they enforced some type of martial law and they just against our will locked us down and there was frickin' armed patrols up and down the streets and we lost our freedom to walk out of the door for our own good? We became a police state. How would you have felt if that had happened?
I would have felt like it was in China.
Right?
So that's exactly what they did.
I think nobody would have liked it and everybody would have argued with it.
Right. But looking back, would that possibly have been the best thing to do?
Well, look at
It
China.
might
They
have been.
maxed out at 3,000 deaths. They contained it, and that's actually going down now. They're the only country that's really
Right. So as much as we like to, talk about our freedoms and our liberties and all this kind of stuff, and you ain't going to hold me down over my cold, dead body, sometimes you need somebody with more sense than you to prevent you from being a menace to yourself and to others. I'm not saying I would have fallen for that either. And I'd be like, wait a second, this is America, right? We're in
This
America.
is the
You can't-
distrust of the media you're talking
Curtis
about
was
earlier, too,
talking
there,
about.
Stevie.
The question is, can you trust them to remove those restrictions when the problem's gone?
Yeah, well, that's a whole other issue. It's a hypothetical, but you know what I mean? It's almost, it will eventually come to the point where we may become a police state. And the question is, if it happens sooner rather than later, would we be better off, or like John says, in this worst case scenario, once they've got that control and we've lost our freedom, would they ever give it back? That's a whole nother doomsday
I
scenario.
know in Illinois, they're said that they're going to start arresting people if they're out unless they have their papers.
Yeah. They should be arresting people that've got too much toilet paper. Hold on, Linda.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Linda? I couldn't hear you. Linda, did you
I
just
can
say?
give you a non-hypothetical. People with autoimmune suppressed diseases,
Yeah.
such as myself, we go through this our whole lives. 80, 90, 100 times a day. For people to have to be publicly told to wash their hands is insane.
I agree.
I was taught how to wash my hands as soon as I was able to get my hands up to the sink. I was 2 years old and I was taught how to wash my hands. We boiled our water. I grew up in Brazil my first 13 years of my life. And that's a very backwards country back in the 50s and 60s. And we washed everything. We got our food in the public market. We took it home and we washed it. We put quinine in our water. This is nothing new to me. And it's nothing new to people with autoimmune system deficiencies. I have had a MRSA 5 times. I almost died from the last one, and that was 10 years ago. Thank the Lord, he has decided that I should live longer. I had a mastectomy in September, and I have been in quarantine since then. I went through chemo, and that was the worst thing that ever happened in my life. I had skin disorder that was like a 3rd-degree burn. I was in so much pain, they had to put me on hydrocodone and tramadol. And one night it was so bad, I told Tony to take me to ER, and I asked them for morphine.
Wow.
So, these people whining because they have to stay at home, and what are they going to do? It's just ridiculous to me, because I've lived my whole life this way. You've got books to read. You've got children to play with. Be thankful you have children to play with.
Be thankful we're alive. Yeah. God bless you.
Exactly.
I'm glad you're here.
So
I agree.
From my point of view, all this hysteria is just ridiculous. And I'm thankful that God has allowed me to live this long.
Amen.
I am a survivor. I still have 12 more rounds of chemo, but I'm fighting it.
And has your ability to get your chemo now changed because of what's going on in hospitals and how they're so locked down right now? Are you that's not been an impact on you?
No, because
Okay.
Where I get my chemo is for chemo patients only.
Okay, it's not a general.
And everybody wears a mask and wears gloves.
Okay.
So no, that hasn't changed.
God bless. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's good to hear that perspective too. Thanks for sharing that, Linda. Hey, and a personal friend of mine, Gordon, has just joined us. Hey, Gordon. He's one of the young people who's not heeding the advice. Are you heeding the advice, young person, Gordon?
Yes, I am heeding the advice.
All right.
I was just going to ask if you just got back from the beach or what.
See, I live in Ohio. I'm heeding the advice because I'm not an idiot.
You're not an idiot. That's good to know.
Yeah,
You're hired.
Yeah. Up here in Ohio, like the COVID affected 500 people.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So,
700 as of tonight, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's because you went outside, you bastard.
No. I'm sticking in there. I like to be quarantined, so.
Yeah. Well, so what is your experience with people in your age group as far as how they're behaving and being sensible or not sensible? Are you in touch with people that are under 40?
Yes. They all take it as a joke, but you can never take anything as a joke if it's like a pandemic, like the COVID-19.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, they just want to make memes and oh yeah, this is just gonna pass. They're not taking it seriously. From the people I've talked to,
Yeah.
They aren't.
But you're doing okay. Now, is your work affected by this?
No. I work for the post office, so it's never affected.
Well, what about people being able to come into the post office? Is it because restaurants won't let people come into the lobby now? So are people able to come into the post office still?
Where we work, yes, we're allowed in because I work for a major distributing part of the post office. But
okay.
I think some I don't know about the branches though.
Okay.
But
so this is not like your neighborhood post office where people walk in and buy stamps and things like that.
No. But
okay.
Yeah, the post office is still running, but it's weird.
Has the Postal Service enforced, guidelines on what you guys should be doing as far as wearing gloves and wearing masks or anything? Have they given you guys any direction on what to do or set any precedents for that?
We had to talk about it, but that was it. So
you had to talk about it.
Because doing at least the social distancing stuff, you have to stay 6 feet apart or anything, or?
Nope. Post office is horrible at that.
So they haven't asked you to wear gloves or wear masks or to spray down the surfaces or anything like that?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's the government, man. It's like they.
Diseases are for the people, not the government.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Now,
'cause
I
you
will
got-
say our local post office was asking people to distance themselves when they come in to pick up their mail, their boxes
Yeah,
and such.
yeah.
Yeah. We might tell the public that, but we don't do it as ourselves. Like it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't.
I wonder if that changes state by state, like the ones that are the hardest hit, like, the Washington state, New Jersey, New York, California. I wonder if they have more strict rules then because they're seeing firsthand a bit more of the effects. Whereas in some of the other states, it hasn't hit that hard yet.
You think the United States Postal Service would have some type of like company email that went out something, hey, guess what, guys? There's this thing going around. It's making people sick.
Or do they just follow whatever the state rules are? Because some states have strict rules and some don't. So
yeah.
it's yeah.
Well,
This is where you
think
need
it
a
may
national
also
policy,
be
I think.
Based on which office. Some offices, the management may take things more seriously than others do. So they tell their workers to wear gloves, wear masks, wash everything down. Other ones don't care so much. They don't think it's that big a deal. So they don't require anything.
Yeah, there are some benefits to local government setting precedents for different states and stuff, but there's a huge problem with that when we got a global problem and some states don't see the urgency of it. Sometimes you want some national precedents, kind of enforced unilaterally across the nation, and you think with the Postal Service, since we're sending packages from all over the country and all over the world, we'd have some type of precedence of,
Yeah, here in Canada, we've had a mix. We've had some national policies that have been put forth, and then we had some provincial ones. And the provinces that were getting hit harder had stricter policies, and now the national's kind of catching up because it is spreading. So I'm imagining you guys will probably be going through the same thing. Somewhat like the northeastern seaboard obviously is taking pretty strict cautions now because they've got tens of thousands of cases, but I imagine once it keeps spreading those will start maturing into the same policies everywhere else.
We've had somebody else who's joined us now from Arizona. Ron Delbo has joined us. Good evening, Ron. How are you?
Hello.
What's your name and what are you calling about?
Yeah, Ron, what's your name?
Caller, you're on the air.
I have arthritis in my back.
My gout's been acting up lately.
Shingles can be what?
I'm an old person and I talk about stuff that's wrong with me.
I'm glad I don't do that. I'd be here all night.
Welcome to the program, Ron. The top of the hour, we were talking about the top 40 countdown, and so Ron, you are retired. I'm going to say that word slowly. You are retired, and so as far as your lifestyle, you mentioned earlier in the live chat, it hasn't
Not
really
changed. Nope.
What about your community? Has your town slowed down a little bit as far as people driving around, walking around?
They just closed our dog park, and I have 2 dogs that would love to exercise somewhere.
Yeah.
So now I take them out and around the water. Pretty soon they'll be in the water because it'll be much warmer soon. But everything's pretty much the same outside of not being able to go to the dog park. I have all my toys. My wife's here now, which is a little.
Your wife works for a
crazy.
University, is it, or is it medical?
ASU. She is a researcher for Alzheimer's. She can work at home unless
Okay.
she has to do lab stuff. Then she has to go in and work in the lab, which everybody's gone from.
And have they implemented protocols on sanitation and masks and gloves and things like that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, who's doing protocols and who aren't. I'm really impressed with one of my clients in West Palm Beach, and I'll give them a shout out too. But ETC Simplify, they're one of my clients I work with, and I've spent over a week with them, getting them prepared to have their people work remotely, and the leadership there is taking this seriously. They're communicating on a daily basis. They have gotten masks and gloves and wipes, and they've gotten all the supplies we need to keep our office clean and set up protocols. And there's emails, there's communication going out the wazoo about, keep your vehicles clean, because if you got a bag, you got an old McDonald's bag in your truck, that can be having germs. And, so setting some precedents and defining some protocols in how they run their business. I mean, this has been going on for over a month, and this is a small private company in West Palm Beach, Florida, and they've been doing a better job than our freaking president has on just communicating things and being proactive. So it seems to be it varies from company to company, from state to state on how they want to deal with being proactive here. Yeah, Ron, you're raising your finger?
Yeah, I've got maybe 12 bags in the back seat of my car. I gotta go.
Man. Are we getting Ronnie Chong here, man? So
not yet.
Not yet, man. You got a bag of what, man?
As you were saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, man,
yeah,
we should
but
clean that out,
yeah, so
man.
so one of my clients, they're really on top of this and being proactive and trying to be way ahead. And it's not overreacting when you are being precautious. It's not the sensationalism that's been going on in the media. We're taking this seriously. Yeah. You going to ask a question, Gordon, or are you waving to somebody?
Err on the side of caution, basically.
Yeah. No. All right. I was just making sure my webcam doesn't really work.
Oh, you're just seeing if the movement was still there?
Yeah.
You thought maybe you're waving to your fans at home. Hey, how you doing, or something? Or, yeah.
Thank you.
Or maybe you had a fly there or something from that McDonald's bag under your desk. I'm not sure. So,
don't throw the bags away, Ron. We need the ketchup packet.
Mild sauce from the sausage burritos.
So I like the hot picante myself. So your neighborhood is your local markets, they're still doing good with traffic and stuff, people buying and shopping and everything? Ron?
No, I can't really say. I haven't been to the store except maybe twice this week. And when I did go one time, it was 5 a.m. and I was 10th in line because, it was the old folks morning.
Okay, you got the senior special.
Yeah, so I was 65 and I had my card out in case they wanted to card me, as to whether I was old. So
no, you look old. Your face is your card.
Yeah,
you got it. So
I got it. So I got in through the door and I went in and there was some toilet paper and some facial tissue, which I got.
Okay.
That was it. Went home.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen the store since.
Okay.
I have to go pretty soon for my mom, so that's going to be.
Hey, checking on her. That's good. Well, yeah, I've been checking in on my parents, and my parents were taking care of my grandparents. So you got to check in on.
Yeah. My mom's an old Italian lady. Okay, when I go over her house, she went, "Hello, honey, how you doing?"
Hey, Ronnie.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah. Actually, Ron, I want to ask you because your mom is Italian. Now, how far back since you guys moved from Italy? Is all the chaos going on in Italy right now affecting you guys at all? Or?
Her parents came from Italy. They came from Sicily in 1912, roughly.
So do you still have contacts back in Italy? Are you
none.
Keeping up? None? Oh, okay.
Although we have a cousin, Rosie, who has a big family, and they have some.
Have you heard?
Is kind of an extended family.
Have you heard from any potential relatives you have there to see if they're doing okay? No.
Nope. Because no, yeah, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't hear that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, they have it pretty bad. They're on the. I think it's more on the boot than the ball. I think Sicily might not have it as bad as the rest.
It's northern Italy, from what I gather.
Yeah.
Basically, is where most of it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question?
You just did. You can ask another one if you like. Yeah.
Okay. About your stores, like mine's Kroger, my grocery store. Do they have a no return policy? Because we up here have a no return policy. So
we do too.
Yeah. Okay. Because I didn't know if that was like nationwide or just regionally. So
here's the thing. See, they're making toilet paper so fast that you probably get as you're pulling it off, you're going to get blank spots or something, right? Now, don't bring them back.
Right. So I think that might vary from store to store, and My daughter Madison, who you know, Gordon, she works at Target, and Target is making that, at least here in South Florida, they're making that policy effective starting tomorrow. So starting tomorrow, they will not be taking any returns. So I don't know. Again, there isn't the world police dictating what everybody does. So I think it's happening on a local level, on a state, city level, and maybe company level. Like maybe Walmart will decide before Target or something else. So, I just heard about that from her, that they're going to start that, and that makes sense. I mean, because if somebody buys something, number one, if you hoarded it and you don't need it now, well then shame on you. But number two, we can't trust things that somebody else has touched at this point, so you don't want to take it back.
And number two is important.
Number two is important, right? So, when the global toilet paper crisis first happened a couple of weeks ago, and we couldn't get anything, the only thing I could find that even resembled that was I bought a big old thing, like a 3,000 table napkins, like the square white ones that are folded over like 4 times. And so I figured, if we're in the apocalypse and there is no paper, we'll be using these napkins here. Now, fortunately, we haven't had to resort to using the napkins yet, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. So,
well, we don't have any towel paper, right? So we started using these tea towels or whatever, and we're having to rotate them in and out of the wash because there's no way to, if you let's say you want to wash a cup out and you want to dry it, well, you either drip dry or you use the tea towel thing.
You remember when people used to have like handkerchiefs in their pocket before tissues? You kept blowing it
and use it for like a month.
It's like, hey, there's still a clean spot here. Let me use that.
Yeah, you pull it out of your pocket. You got to crack it open a bit there.
Now I'm gonna wash it with the rest of my clothes and not have to worry about anything, and it'll be good again.
My napkins started walking away.
Yeah, this is coronavirus plus here.
So another problem. Another problem that people are having is there are people who are not used to being on calls like this, these video calls with Skype and Zoom and stuff. And so I just read an article about how somebody had a company meeting and there was a woman who, I don't want to miss the call, so I'm going to bring my laptop in with me while I go to the toilet, and didn't realize that her camera and microphone were both still working. And
so how long have you known Mrs. Grantley?
Yeah, right. So
meet them together there.
Yeah. So sharing is caring. So there's a lot of that where people have not done this before. Is this thing working? Is my headset on? Is my microphone on? And even on some of the live news, like all the live news is coming on Facebook now, and they're live. They don't know they're live yet. You still hear all the behind the scenes talking and stuff like that too. So even like the professionals now are having to adapt to using technology to communicate now.
It sounds like Coco Talk.
Yeah, it does. But on that note, I am going to mute my microphone and my camera while I take a potty break. So I'll be back in just a minute. So if you guys got to smoke them, if you got them, I'll be back. If not, talk amongst yourselves. So
I'm going to probably head out too. We'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, later, Terry.
I'll be back in 10 minutes if you're still here. So.
Hey, Gordon.
Hey, nice to meet y'all.
Yeah, nice to meet you
too.
too.
Nice to meet you, Gordon.
Yeah.
But speaking of
Tony, that was perfect.
Speaking of that, there was a CDC video I was watching the other day. Yesterday, I think it was. Woman was talking away to beat the band, but not a word was coming out of her mouth. There was no audio. And I checked 3 times to make sure that my audio was working. I'm like, you guys put out this video and you can't even make sure that the audio is up?
Well, it's like watching some of the newscasts now because everybody's, isolated at home type thing, and they are doing their fake FaceTime backgrounds with the White House or something like that, and it's been a bit rough.
We can't even see your face, so there you go. That's better.
That's because I'm sitting in a dark car.
Oh.
So when you see my face light up, it means a car went by.
Oh. Is this your home?
It is for the moment, yeah. That's a funny one too. Because I'm homeless and because I have COPD and emphysema, I am at high risk, which means I should be at the top of the list of people that are getting off the street and into their own place. but all services are suspended until this thing is over.
Where are you living? What city?
I live in LA,
Uh,
so looks like I'm going to be living in my car for at least another month.
Are you taking precautions like using like Clorox wipes and stuff like that too? Just like wiping down things, you know, when you get in and out of your
I
vehicle
wash
or
my
after?
hands.
Yeah.
I wipe everything down. I limit my contact with other people. I maintain at least 6 feet from every person. I wear a face mask when it's necessary.
Okay.
I wear gloves.
Hey, Evan, what is your wife doing? Has this affected her at all?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. So she works for a National Safety Council, and she works in HR. So obviously, she's scrambling to figure out like how is their company going to handle this? Are they going to have pandemic pay, or are they going to just temporarily reduce salaries? A lot of the income stream for National Safety Council is derived from training. They'll send people out to, like, even the school where I work, and they'll do a presentation on slips, trips, and falls, or safe driving. And so that's their income stream, and obviously that's totally dried up. So she's kind of scrambling to figure out, as a company, how are they going to do to deal with this. But I don't know. She took over the office where I keep all my retro computers, and she's totally taken that over.
Yeah.
And
sacrifices must be made, huh?
yeah, you got to take one for the team sometimes. But it's actually, I set up a little card table here in the bedroom, and it's pretty awesome. I got my 2 laptops here. I got the TV right next to me. I've got my 2 wiener dogs sleeping in the bed. So it's actually kind of like being a teenager again.
So do you have kids too?
Yeah. So I have 2 14-year-olds, twins.
Okay. And so are they they're home from school? School's closed right now?
Yes. So they seem to have a fair amount of online learning that they're expected to do, and this has been interesting because like they do their online work rigorously, whereas the official line from the Illinois State Board of Education is that anything the students do online can't be counted if it would lower their grade. So there's really no incentive or impetus for them to actually do any of this online work, and I guess my kids just don't know that. So,
we won't tell if you don't.
Good for
right.
them.
I should keep my voice down. So again, it's just kind of been this fiasco. It's like, okay, run home, set up Google Classroom, be the high-tech wonder teacher, hold everything together, digitally without, irrespective of what hardware the students have at home, if any. But by the way, the students don't actually have to do any of the work. So it's like, explain that one to me. I don't know. So.
Yeah, so you guys you have the whole family at home now. Are you dealing with cabin fever at all, or is it?
A little bit. I think we try. We're very fortunate. Like we have a house with a fenced-in yard. We've got a basketball hoop in the driveway. We live right across the street from a big field. And there's plenty of sidewalks around, so we can get out. Like we could take a bike ride, we could shoot hoops, take the dogs for walks and stuff like that. It's just kind of you want to have some sort of a routine. It's like, okay, well, every day you get your homework done. You've got to read for a little bit. You've got to practice an instrument for a little bit. You've got to do something to stretch your legs for
Right.
a little bit. And just shower, change your clothes.
Yeah, because it's amazing how quickly you can deacclimate to the things you used to do, like getting up at 6 a.m. and taking a shower and getting ready to leave the house for school and all this kind of stuff. And now you stay up all night and sleep in all day, and maybe do my online classes. It's.
I was just gonna say it sounded like the rock and roll dream at the beginning of that. But...
So.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's not bad. I mean, so my survival strategy is like as soon as I wake up, I do something that I don't want to do. So like something I've procrastinated on. making a new homework assignment, or like getting tax documents together, or I don't know, like just something that if I can knock it out, then I'll feel better about the rest of the day. Because I was productive. And then I don't know if you guys read the article by the astronaut who spent 400 days on the International Space Station. Scott Kelly, I think. So he has a really good article about how to survive, in a small space for a long period of time, and the things you can do and the actions you can take. So I read that, and I think it's pretty common sense. But
there
it's all
goes
good
that
advice.
Paradox again. The common sense paradox, right? So
Yeah, I know.
No, that's interesting. That's actually pretty good advice, right? Like you need to force yourself to do something you don't want to do, just to get used to the grind, right? You have to a self-imposed grind almost, right? So. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just trying to avoid that sort of sliding into bedlam. Where, also it's like you wake up at, you're up at 10:30 and you're like, oh, well, hey, I've been awake for a while. Maybe I should have a beer. And then you look at the clock and it's like 10:30 a.m. and you're like, no, like there's gotta be some limits here.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So,
right.
Beer.
But I went to Treasure Island, and I was having a conversation with the cashier there. There's a couple, not Treasure Island, Trader Joe's, and the cashier and I were having a talk at a safe distance, and he said that is one of the. I was buying a 4-pack of beer, and he was saying that's a big problem from working from home is alcoholism, because like there's no structure, there's no rules, there may be limited accountability professionally or to your peers or. So I don't know. I mean, so that may be something that comes out of this. That's a problem that nobody really saw coming.
It helps if you don't drink.
Yeah, no, it's great if you don't drink.
Yeah. Well, so the problem we have too is we stocked up on all kinds of food to last us, several weeks. But you're home and you're bored. Every 5 minutes you're walking up to the fridge or to the cupboard just looking for something out of boredom. You're going to end up eating all your emergency supplies in your first 3 days of isolation. So being able to discipline yourself to ration your supplies is also something that we have to kind of do.
Right. So like when I go shopping, I don't buy any snack food, but I'm just trying to buy like meals or components of meals. And that cuts down on. I think we're all going to come out of this a couple pounds lighter, just because there isn't anything
heavier, or heavier for those.
Well, I guess
it
depending.
A few pounds.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, one of the things that we've been doing for a while is we've been getting the box food where they send you once a week. They send you like 3 meals and you get all the ingredients to cook, stuff like that. So we're still getting that service, and so that's a little bit helpful. Because once this pandemic hit, my first thought was I'm not going to be like every loser who's waiting in line to get toilet paper. I'm going to go to Amazon and I'm going to have I'm going to have Amazon Prime. I'll have a pallet of toilet paper here in 2 days. You couldn't get frickin' toilet paper on Amazon. I couldn't get cans of tuna on Amazon. So it's just like when it hit everywhere, and it hit hard. So I'm a little bit thankful for the fact that we have, we got like 3 days of food. A box of 3 meals comes once a week, and that's one less thing we have to worry about hitting the grocery store for,
Yeah, that's another thing we're trying to do, just to kind of, I don't know, keep it together mentally. Is okay. We're going to have a family meal like every day. Otherwise, people just kind of drift apart. They're in their own rooms. There's no real socializing. So, a family meal, and then after eating, we'll play Uno, play a board game, go walk around the block, or just do something like some family time. Because there's an opportunity here that we don't normally have. Like normally our lives are so busy with get the kids to all the lessons and drive them here and drive them there. And I got to go teach for 4 hours Monday night, and all weekend I got to put stuff together. It's like, actually, it's kind of nice in a perverse way to be able to kind of pause everything and be like, let's just like kind of take it. Let's see if we can get some positive stuff out of this. So we don't look back and say, well, we squandered that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I know that for me, you're talking about things I've been practicing all along. I stopped driving Uber before February was out, but I still get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I still go to bed before 10 o'clock at night, which means it's almost time for me to go.
Ah, yeah.
And I keep busy. I'm currently making game videos and putting them on my YouTube channel. And that keeps me occupied, so I'm not worrying about eating everything I have in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we are creatures of habits, and we got to keep some type of habits going, or we'll just like devolve into God knows what, right? So, yeah, my wife got out a box of puzzles, like, you know, all these different puzzles, like one box of like 10 different 1,000-piece puzzles. So our whole dining room table right now has got, you know, puzzles in progress going on right now, just stuff to do. Yeah, it's really interesting how some things are adapting quickly. Some are, you know, being forced into the 21st century, like my daughter's school, trying to get her set up now to take her virtual classes. It was an interesting, let's just say, kludge of a process, because the email made you go left, right, up, down, this, that, and the other, and boom, it was basically all on the same website, but you had to jump through 14 hoops before you figured out that everything was right where you started. So even in just them communicating what tools are needed, needs some refinement. And you know, one of the only assignment that's there now was like a message from their phys ed teacher saying, "Hey, I'm just seeing if this thing works. I'm not real computer savvy, so I want to make sure you guys get my message, because once we go live, I want to make sure, you know, I'm doing it right." And so it's like, so
it's been a mess. So our school sent out. They just said, "Okay, everybody, you know, just go set up a Google Classroom, and then email all your students with the class code and tell them to log in." Okay. Well, the problem is, the way Google Classroom works is that if the email is not part of the school's Google, you know, domain, that they can't log in.
Oh,
so
they
we
need
had
to have an email address in the system.
Right. If it's not our email address, they can't use the classroom. So then I got all these emails. Oh, I can't log in. I'm getting these error messages. And then our IT director said, "Okay, hang on. I'll talk to Google. I'll open it up so anybody with any email address can connect in." Great. Okay. 3 days later, send an email out. "All right, everybody, here's the class code. Try it again." Nope. Flood of error messages come in. Why? Because the emails issued to the students at their regular schools have a protection on them that says they can't join Google Classrooms outside of their domain, or outside of their sphere. So then it was, oh, hang on. Okay, we just created our own emails for all of the students to use. And then now I've got to send like a third round of emails out. Okay, everybody, here are the procedures for logging in. And, you know, send that out a couple of times. And then the students trickle in.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of people haven't even logged in at all. Then it's like, okay, email the parents of the people who haven't logged in. And then, you know, okay, a couple more people log in. But it's just been very poorly implemented. No one really saw it coming. We have special challenges because of we're a vocational school. We get students from 24 different other schools, and we don't really integrate into what they do. So we're just kind of like this little island, or, you know, we just sort of operate on our own, and it's been really problematic. But I don't know, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah, you do the best you can. You adapt, you overcome, you improvise, right? So you're rolling with the flow. We just been joined by Eddie. How you doing, Eddie?
Hey, how are you doing all? Just jumping in to say hello to all of you and see everybody's doing well.
And are you in Montreal?
I'm in Quebec City.
Quebec City.
Yeah.
And how are things up there in your part of the world?
Well, we do have toilet paper. But no eggs. But aside from that, it's not too bad. Every time I go to the grocery, I put on my clown nose, so everybody laughs and put some a little bit of smiles around me. So, yeah, things right now they're still under control, but we're not in the biggest part of the wave, I guess, now.
Okay. That's good. And so
Yeah.
supplies are still able to be obtained and everything?
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah,
Okay.
so far things are okay. Of course, I mean, if you're difficult, or if you particularly need something in, something very specific, you might not be able to find it. But if you're flexible, I think there's no big problem as of now. So.
Is there any locally enforced kind of self-quarantining suggestions going out through your news sources or your local government or anything? Or
yeah, definitely right now. I mean, even before Canada decided on some rules, Quebec actually did put some rules ahead of the Canadian government. So I don't think it, maybe it influenced a little bit, the Canadian government to do the same in a certain way. Of course, every province in Canada have, very specific particularities that makes it different from one another. But
like crowd sizes and gathering sizes and stuff.
Yeah, and I know the reality of British Columbia with the Washington State, or here in Quebec. Actually, we have New York, so realities can change a little bit from one side to another. So. But still, so far so good. I haven't got my guns out yet, so
martial law not quite in effect yet, huh?
Yeah. So
it's like when things like this start to happen, you really start to look at these doomsday preppers that everybody thought were the crazy people with the tinfoil hats, and you start to say, you know what, maybe these people were onto something. Maybe
that's where all the toilet paper went.
Yeah, these guys aren't so crazy with their shelters and their supplies and their ammunition, because pretty soon it's going to come to that, right? So. What about borders? Like you mentioned, New York and stuff. Is there a Canadian border in effect right now that's going on that's limiting traffic in and out of the country?
Yeah, we've got a bipartisan one between both countries that basically, unless it's essential travel like truckers, doing food and stuff, that you're not going across.
Okay. And what about restaurants? Are you guys like where most of your restaurants are not allowing dining, and it's just more like carry out, take out, curbside, things like that?
It's all closed now.
Yeah.
It's all closed. There is some that do take out, but most of them, what they do is delivery only. So no more.
Okay. Now, has this affected your work, what you do for a living at all?
Well, in my case, I'm not back to work yet, but maybe I can share with you the good news that I'll be joining the Canadian Coast Guard this spring.
Excellent.
So COVID, the weather, of course, the COVID will probably change some plans, but I was accepted at Sydney, Nova Scotia. College, the Coastal Guard College in Nova Scotia. So having lived in the Pacific coast in British Columbia, now I'm going to spend some time on the Atlantic side. So I'm going to be able to say that I've lived and worked in six different provinces of Canada. So
wow.
But and now I'm going to be discovering the Pacific, the Atlantic. So very happy. I was quite interested actually by the Army, but I didn't really want to have a gun in my hand. So the Coast Guard is just perfect.
I have some top secret military photos that were taken at Sydney. I think my grandfather probably just stole them from the RAF base where he worked, or he was in the RCAF during World War II, and when we were cleaning out his stuff, I found some photos that were stamped top secret.
Oh my God!
And they were aerial shots of the convoys forming up, before they went over to England.
Well, actually, I just got my clearance from the Canadian Secret Services as being cleared for secret.
I should.
You can show them to them, him.
So I
you can
show them to him.
You can show Eddie. Yeah.
You can show
Not the
them
rest
to
of us.
Okay.
That's no easy task either, getting clearance. I've worked with a lot of military veterans that get the clearance. Another thing that, at least in the stateside, once you have that clearance, you got to try to keep it, because once you lose it, it's almost damn near impossible to get it back.
That happened to me. So I worked for a company. It was a small company that got bought out by Northrop Grumman, but we're actually working on a contract for the Canadian Navy, writing simulator software so they could train people to operate the radars and sonars and electronic warfare stations in a training lab. And so I had a security clearance for that, and then I moved out to Illinois, and my security clearance expired, and I realized I hated all the jobs out here, and I wanted to go back to that sort of defense work, but I couldn't because my clearance expired. And you can't just say, "Hey, can you give me can you investigate me and give me a clearance?" You have to apply. And
yeah, it's harder to get it back than it is to get it in the first place.
Oh my God, yeah. I know. I was actually on a call today. It was one of my former students was applying for a job that required a clearance. So somebody from Virginia called me, and I had to answer all the questions about, do you think that he would be loyal to the United States, and did he have any temper, anger management issues?
It depends. Does he have a beard? Does he have a really bushy beard? Because now he's questionable. Ron Delvaux. Present company excluded, but how do you determine if somebody's loyal to the United States?
I was just thinking what an idiot I was.
I swear I'm loyal.
Yeah.
I swear on a stack of Bibles.
Hey, Eddie, how old are you?
How old I am?
Yeah.
Actually, I took a couple of years in the. In the last couple of years, I caught up probably the years that I had not taken in the past, but technically I'm 47.
Oh, okay.
So, and actually, as a matter of fact, I took some marine radio lessons, because I was kayaking on the St. Lawrence by myself, and to make things safer, we got a marine radio, just to call for help if there was a problem. And you need a permit to do so. To have such a radio, you need a permit. So I went to I followed the course, and the teachers, they just told me things like, "Oh no, you're not too old. You can apply for the Army or the Coast Guard." So that's how I got actually.
Wow, that's really good.
That's how I got in the Coast Guard, because I thought that 47 was too old.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking, actually.
Well, what else? What were you doing before? Weren't you doing something like a ski patrol or something like that?
Oh well, that's as a volunteer. That's not a. I would love, ski patrol to be a career, a paying career. But actually, when it pays, when you have a salary for being a ski patrol, I mean, it's a very low.
Okay. But
very,
that kept you probably
salary.
very active and very fit, I would imagine, being able to do that.
Well, I actually, as a matter of fact, it saved my life, because if I hadn't been as fit as I was, I could not have got the experimental treatments that were done on me to got me, to get all the cancer out of me. So.
Oh wow.
So basically we never know, you know,
Yeah.
what could have happened if I hadn't been as fit, you know, because it's always when you get a cancer treatment and surgeries and everything. I mean, it's always judging on how you can also take it, you know, how you can manage it. So because you need to recover also from all that chemotherapy and all those surgeries, you need to, you know, each case is different, of course, but you know, fitness surely helped in my case. And happily enough, I feel like I'm getting back slowly, but surely I'm getting back in shape. So
wow, good. Well, God bless.
Thanks. Yeah.
Real quick before we get to Al Hartman, who just joined us, there's been some people watching us live too who've just been chatting in the text chat, and I haven't been staying on top of that. So I just want to say hi to and acknowledge a few people out there. So Fizz Cannon has been here. I'm not sure if you're still there, Fizz. Earlier he said, I just want to interject. I like that. I like this talk. I'm busy. I can't stay, but I'm glad real people are talking about real stuff. Thank you guys. This is awesome. And then Platypus 429 was saying that even because we were talking about how Italy was locked down, but he was saying even Italy and Spain, there are people who still aren't listening, and this is the country that's hit the hardest, right? Big Surge NY said hello earlier. Platypus is also saying on the topic of people assuming that they just have a cold, I believe at least 50% more cases are happening in the U.S. than we think they are, because the people haven't really fully, you know, the symptoms haven't presented themselves. So there you have that. Al Hartman from Jersey has joined us. Al Hartman, how you doing? Al Hartman, do you copy?
Hold on, I had to unmute.
There you go. Al Hartman is here. Al Hartman from Jersey. Al, you're in Jersey. What exit?
114.
114. And how you doing, Al? How's your life been since COVID-19?
Well, I'm a day out of the hospital.
You're in the hospital?
I was in the hospital. I went in last Friday.
Oh, wow. You okay?
And they put me in quarantine until yesterday. Because yesterday morning they finally got the test results back that I was negative for COVID.
Okay. Did you have the full thing where they put the giant Q-tip into your nose all the way to the back of your anus, or did it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures.
Four of them.
Yeah, it's a long swab,
6
right?
times.
It goes
They
in through the
tested me.
nostril and it has to go all the way to the back of the throat, right?
They did 3 tests, so they had
Wow.
to test each nostril, so it's 6 Q-tips.
Wow.
And they weren't Q-tips. They were sharp. They hurt.
Ouch.
They tested me for pneumonia, for the flu, and then for COVID.
Wow. Okay.
Well, you know what you don't have. What do you
So
have?
far, but you see, doesn't mean anything, because you could test without it on Friday and then pick it up on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday.
Yeah.
I could still get it at some point, but so when people ask me, I say as of Friday midnight, I didn't have it.
All right. That's all anybody can say, really, because I mean, any of us.
And at least you're sure you don't. A lot of other people, they don't get the test, so they don't know for sure they don't have it.
Well, and while you guys were talking a minute ago, a thought that most people don't express is that you're looking now at the deaths against the number of people that have currently been tested. But there are so many people out there that have not yet been tested who may have it, that the actual percentage of those who have it and die is probably much, much lower than being reported, because we simply don't know who has it and has recovered, or who has it and is showing no symptoms. We don't know. So
yeah, I don't think most of us have been comparing with like how many deaths. Like that's a kind of, like you said, it's kind of a ridiculous statistic. It's more like how widespread is it, so that people that will get sick enough to die from it, what's the potential?
Here in the New York area, they're constantly reporting every day the number of people who die and the number of quote new quote cases. But again, it's the number. There were testing drive-through testing facilities showing up all over New Jersey and New York, and so you have to understand that we're getting a new influx of cases only because people are being tested who weren't tested before now. So it's not like it's spreading and getting worse and worse. It's we're better at.
Well, it's
testing.
already spread, basically. Now you're just finding out how bad the spread is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess all tracking all these various different numbers, I guess, is useful somehow. I don't see the benefit of saying, well, 1 million people have got it, but only 100 people have died. Therefore, statistically, 0.01% of people are dying from this. To me, that's just some way to try to downplay the fact that if 2 people are dying, that's still 2 deaths that.
Well, yes.
That shouldn't have happened. So I myself, and again, I'm not a numbers guy, whatever. I don't understand the benefit of trying to compare how many people got it versus percentages of death based on infection rate, and I don't see the value in that.
Well, remember I think it was Stalin who said, 100 people dying is a tragedy, 1 million people is a statistic.
Okay.
And
that still doesn't help me understand it, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
The infection rate does help, because then you can see trends like where is it spreading to? Is it going a certain direction? Is it following certain plane flights or something?
Well, we're really only going to know after it's all, like now we can look back at what was the one from a few years ago, SARS. We can look back at SARS and we have statistics that are valid because the outbreak is over, everyone has resolved. So we can look back at the final statistics and see how bad it actually was. We're not going to be able to tell about COVID until probably the end of the summer. And they're saying it's going to come back in the fall. They're saying the warm weather will stop the spread and the outbreaks for a while, and then it'll come back in the fall. But by fall, we should have treatments, and by next year, we should have a vaccine. So we just kind of got to make it till summer.
And again, listen, I'm not a scientist or a biologist or anything else. I don't understand, but when people say when warm weather is going to slow it down, what about in Australia? It's happening in Australia. And here in Florida, it's happening in Florida and in Arizona. So if warm weather was the stopgap, why don't we just put heat blankets on everybody and that's their that's their
from what
force
I've been
field.
reading, this virus is not like the flu virus where it totally stops basically during the summer months. It just slows down a little bit. And that's why Australia still has like 1,000+ cases. So does India. India's up there now, and Florida, and everywhere else. This is not as temperature dependent as the flu is.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, Ron Devlin.
Yeah, you need to pretend you're crying and point your finger toward the cat, and you look like that ad that they keep showing
the
on
woman
Facebook.
getting mad. yeah. Hey, we've been joined by Chet Simpson in Las Vegas, America's playground.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So how is COVID-19 affecting the Vegas Strip right now?
It's shut down. It's been shut down since last week. The entire state, we're on stay at home. All businesses except for non-essentials are shut down. Luckily, pot is a essential business here, so had some delivered this morning, so I'm good there. But it's going to have a huge impact. And it's not just there's some carryover from the housing crisis in around 2007, and then the gaming crash of 2008, and both of those hit Vegas pretty hard. So right now, I mean, we're just in Las Vegas alone, there's 200,000 gaming employees affected by this. So it is a huge deal out here. I mean, the tourism is a major factor of our economy here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be devastating for a while. Luckily I do work for a really good company. I handle the digital stuff. So my whole team and all the crew that I work with, we're all working from home. Our entire company is work from home as well. It's an Australian-based company. So and many of the companies here are foreign owned or heavily invested in. So there's some current concern on the global market, but then again, there's also a good outlook on that. But there's going to be a lot of with the school shut down. There's no idea when that's going to when that's going to resume. Clark County School District can't even guarantee that all the students will be able to participate in distance learning. I mean, they just don't have the equipment. They're not prepared for this. And honestly, the school district here sucks to begin with. So, they have little success in being able to get some of that stuff out.
Hey, Chet, is that the Star Trek engine room there behind you?
No, I think that's the doctor. One of the doctor. No, I don't think
And
that's
James
Doctor.
Bond or
No, it's one of the James Bond evil lairs,
Oh.
and you got some minions and stuff back there. So, but yeah. So you've got that you've got the impact there with kids who are dependent on lunch and breakfast at the schools now. So there's there's an impact on families there. There's with so many people in the gaming industry, or people here relying on the gaming industry for employment, that's a huge hit for all the way around, and it's certainly going to be felt for quite some time out here. That's for
Here
sure.
the casinos want to help with the kids at home. They won't be able to offer them distance learning, but they can give them slots and poker.
No, actually they can't.
There's an age limit, right? You have to be 18. to
No,
gamble,
there's
right? So-
actually there's a whole set of regulations revolving around children that would not fly. They can certainly donate food. They can certainly make donations in other ways and contributions in other ways. But yeah, that kind of stuff would be a major black eye. So so there's of course the stimulus, which they're voting on right now. So hopefully that will go through. That'll help. That'll actually go a long way for a lot of the families, particularly here. I don't know how it is in other places right now, but it's I've considered going down to the Strip, but it's I'm not sure I want to see it in the way that it is right now. I mean, there's for the Strip to close, I mean, the liquor stores are closed down. For something like that to happen in this town, I mean, that's it's just something that you would never ever expect. For really any reason short of a major, huge disaster. I mean, if somebody, if they blew up an atomic bomb, just taking it out over Nels Air Force Base, yeah, that would be a big. That would have been, a couple months ago, that would have been what you would expect to shut this town down.
Yeah.
But when you've got everybody in close proximity, I mean, you can't even walk into a 7-Eleven and gamble. I mean, all of the slot machines are shut down. There's no, you can't just walk in and start doing it. Everything is shut down. So it'll be interesting to see what how this town recovers.
What's
I
cool
suppose,
is
that must be causing some. Sorry, Ron.
It's okay. No, I was just gonna say, gas is real cheap, but you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's Wednesday night. I would certainly be out, racing some go-karts right now.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with this bailout. I don't see how adding 10% to the national debt is going to be helpful. We're $21 trillion in debt. Now they want to add another $2 trillion to it. I mean, we're basically.
Well, your
it's
only
like an
real alternative
unemployed-
at this point is
like an
total
unem-
economic, destruction. I mean, that is really what you're facing here. I mean, this is the particular type of impact that this is going to have and is going to continue to have over the next couple of years.
The
is gonna
entire
be significantly
country
dramatic.
goes bankrupt because we can't pay our debt. and
We're
we
going to go
can't
bankrupt
no
anyways
longer
if no business is taking place and nobody's making any money. That's screwing up our
But
whole economy anyways.
Business is taking place. My sister owns a grocery store. She's doing business like you can't believe.
Yeah,
She's
but
through the roof with
you just
business.
heard Chet say the entire Las Vegas Strip is shut down. Disney parks are shut down. Restaurants can't fill their dining rooms because we can't eat in public. So
But the smart ones-
90% of things are being affected by this.
Yeah, but I don't know that I agree. I just read an article about a guy that ran a strip club, and he would have had to shut down. So what he did was he took his strippers and he turned them into delivery girls.
Yeah, that's
And
brilliant. That's really brilliant.
But they got to
And,
stay at least
uh,
6 feet awake, right?
He keeps his kitchen running, and the girls deliver food to people, and he calls it Boober Eats.
Yeah, I've seen the thing.
You got to wipe down the
For
pole
limit-
You got to
And
wipe
this-
down the pole of Clorox wipes every single
that,
time, though.
That works great for some businesses, but as a
Yeah.
whole, that's not going to have a tremendous.
But this is only going to be temporarily. We're going to hit summer
right.
very soon.
And so is this thing which you call a bailout, which actually isn't. It's a stimulus package because that shit has to be paid back. There's a lot of airlines that are not going to take it specifically because in a lot of cases they either don't need it or they're not going to want to pay it back in the time that they're going to want to do it, or they're not going to want to have to be constrained by the restrictions that are in place by accepting that particular money. And there is some in there. So this is a give and take. Right now, I'm going to see where it goes because at this point, you don't have a whole lot of choice other than letting everything pretty much collapse.
Yeah,
and
it's a lose-lose situation. But if you pause right now, you can delay the virus and attenuate the curve a little bit, and that buys time to find a cure or a vaccine. If you don't slow down the virus, the whole system, the hospitals will be overwhelmed.
And what do you, Hugo? Where are you at for people who don't know where you are in the world? You're in.
Well, I'm in Quebec, just like Eddie, but I'm like 250 kilometers from.
Okay. Now, are you playing the role of Robin Hood right now? What's going on with the?
No, my hair is a mess, so I decided to put on my Dungeon and Dragons costume.
I'm not sure.
And I also have my my
your sword.
It's a real dagger. It's for real. I can't bring it to.
He's in survival mode, folks.
You're in survival mode.
I'm gonna stab that virus.
Okay.
No, things are not looking good. Even if we flatten the curve, we have to be realistic. I built a complete simulation using all the data I could find on my province, and I ran about a dozen scenarios. Very serious simulation. And even if we stay in lockdown for 2 months, because right now we're a complete lockdown. Hey, nice, Chet.
That's a nice
we're
one.
a complete lockdown right now. Only the most essential businesses are open, and luckily I can work from home. I work in the telecom company, but all the call centers and all the oversee night shift system monitoring centers, they're all closed. So we have to do everything to keep the network alive. It's a lot of work. We're like 50 persons doing the job of 500 right now.
Wow.
So it's unsustainable for us, but we have to do it. So even if we keep everything in lockdown mode for 2 months, after that, the hospitals will be overwhelmed in a matter of weeks. And we're talking about 2 or 3 times the number of patients that can be admitted. So I really hope my government is using the time we're buying right now, and it's costing a lot. I hope they're using this time to set up more beds. I know they have hired all the students in nursing. They have hired students in who wants to be doctors in their last year. They have pulled them into the system, and I know they have enough masks, enough equipment, but that might not even be enough. We'll see.
Wow.
Well, I was told we got some kind of a message which was perceived by some as a funny as a joke, but we got told that maybe people that have advanced first aid skills, like the ski patrollers, for example, someday
like you
yeah, so someday they could be called as backup in the.
It's almost like calling in the reserve, right? We have the National Guard and the Army Reserve and stuff like that. When when you're running low on resources, it's all hands on deck, and any viable skill you have to help out with a disaster is going to be a welcome, necessary thing. Yeah.
It's an interesting point that you bring, because in the U.S. many states have a National Guard.
Yeah.
And the U.S. Army has the Engineers Corps, who can help in any disaster relief operation, and they're very efficient. Now, it's funny because usually they would go with their big planes and drop supplies and land in some earthquake-stricken area in Turkey or Nepal. Now it's in the U.S., They will have to rescue New York, basically. I guess there's no other choice. But in Canada, we don't have this. Provinces don't have a National Guard, but at least people are involved. The government in my province called people for volunteers. They received 17,000 answers.
Wow.
Here in
people
New
want
York,
to volunteer.
here in
And
the here in the New York area, the National Guard and the Corps of Engineers are turning the Javits Convention Center into a facility. They've got 100 beds there now. They're going to have 1,000 by the end of the week.
It's necessary.
They are taking old. There's several buildings here in the city that are hospitals that were closed. They're cleaning them up and reopening them to create more bed space.
Okay, so proactive steps. So these are important things to do.
This is why you need to flatten the curve and give us more time, because you need time to get these facilities built and ready. I don't know if any of you've heard the commercials for the MyPillow, the MyPillow commercials on radio or on the internet. They're a company that makes pillows and sheets. They have announced today they're converting their manufacturing to making masks.
That's good. That's good. In Quebec, a company that makes hockey masks and equipment, they have turned their manufacturing plant into face shields for healthcare.
That's good.
Just a few days ago. So it's good to see that the industry, for example, every single industry where there is metal grinding or painting, assembling, they have these N95 masks in their plant. They stockpile them, they need them. But all these businesses that are closed, they could do like Tesla did and just give all their masks to public health. Tesla has distributed 50,000 N95 masks to the Seattle hospital and to Los Angeles. So there are masks everywhere in the country, and they're not being used right now.
And I forget which company in Europe, one of the car companies, either BMW or one of the others, is converting one of their plants to making respirators.
GM, Ford, and Tesla were cleared by the U.S. government. They're allowed to build respirators, all three of them. I don't know if they've started. I hope so. So it's not hopeless if we buy enough time.
Yeah, I think there's some retooling they're going through right now to get it set up. So
can I share my screen? No, I can't.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can now. You can. And we've just been joined by Grant. We'll get to you in a second, Grant. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Go ahead, Hugo.
Okay, so this is one of the simulations where we start flattening the curve. We start just like we did in the province. We close schools. We close the schools on March 13, and we do almost a complete shutdown by March 24. And this is what happens after that. The curve does flatten over a few weeks, but the purple line is current capacity for the hospitals.
The blue
over
wave
capacity
on the bottom, you mean?
by a factor of 5. But they're doubling the number of beds, so maybe it will work. I don't know, but it's not looking super good. And the red area is the number of deaths. So every model I've run with a lockdown and people respecting the lockdown, there are something like 11,000 to 16,000 deaths in the province. We're 8.5 millions.
11,000 people are going to die in
over a year, over the course of a year. Of course, there are mitigating factors like aggressive testing. In the UK, they've started distributing antibodies test kits. They don't detect the virus; they detect your antibodies, The kit gives you, it's like a pregnancy test.
Okay.
The kit gives you an answer within 15 minutes. It doesn't tell you if you're sick right now. It just tells you that you've been sick at some point with the COVID. So they're distributing this. People will self-test. They won't have to go see a nurse or go to the hospital. They will be able to order the kit and self-test at home.
Interesting.
So it's very interesting. I hope it comes here. It will make everyone's life easier, because the more cases we detect, the more we keep flattening that curve.
Yeah. Hey, Grant, thanks for joining us. Where are you at in the world?
I am in northeastern Indiana.
Okay. And how are you holding up?
It's all right. I just got sent home from school the other week, so I'm back at home. And I was just I don't know if anybody's seen the Johns Hopkins coronavirus map that they have on their website, and it's if you've seen the curve, because they're showing a little graph for all of the detected cases of coronavirus, and it's available on their website at coronavirus.jhu.edu, and it's a textbook exponential. It is insane. And watching just how many deaths there have been in Italy and how many cases we keep seeing every day, I just wonder how China has managed to keep to recover so quickly, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Draconian measures, I would say, was the main reason that China mentioned it.
That's what I'm wondering.
The best example would be South Korea. They've seen what happens in China, so they decided of a quick strategy. So, and Italy didn't do that. They lack they lack the structure that the South Koreans have. They're used to drills, and they're used to they live close to North Korea.
The culture in South Korea is different. They're more likely to obey shelter in place.
Absolutely. So what they did, they had a stockpile of tests at some early on. So each time there was a case in an apartment block, they tested the whole block.
Yeah.
Like 75 test kits in one day. They did the whole block. So, and since they have big concentration of people in big cities, it was easy for them to test like that. People don't move as much there as in the Chicago suburbs, for example. People take their car and they run in a circle, do their grocery, they go to work, they go to the daycare. In South Korea, everything's more compact, so it's easier to test everyone that's been in contact with one case.
Yeah,
So,
I understand how
it helped
South
them.
Korea has been able to manage it, but I'm curious if China has been fudging the numbers.
Yes, I wouldn't trust Chinese statistics at all.
Yeah.
Their research articles are totally bullshit.
I've heard that they're really good in math, though.
Yeah.
Sorry,
For
that's bad.
example,
That's
they
that's
keep
that's a bad joke. Sorry.
They keep posting research articles about coronavirus, and 1 week later, it's always debunked. It's really bad research. For example, there are a link between blood type and the risk of getting the virus. People are questioning the methodology, and they're saying it might be a more politically motivated article. It's not based on solid science.
The culture is more concerned with saving face and ego and looking good.
But you know what? If you read the article, it tells you if you're a group O blood, you have 33% less chances of catching the virus. If you're a group A, you have 30% more chance of catching it. Now, you look at the ethnic map of China and the ethnic markup. The Han Chinese, which are the main group in power, they're massively group O. And the minorities of the South are massively group A. So in a way, they're expressing their view on their own genetic superiority through this article. So it was approved by the Central Committee. So it's bullshit and it's propaganda. And that article has no impact outside of China. But inside China, it can be used to justify ethnic cleansing, for example.
Oh my God.
Because these people are disease vector. If they're group A, it should be reduced.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah. Hopefully, it doesn't work like this here. But chloroquine. Had a discussion early on, sometime end of February, with a friend of mine. We discussed the fact that people's lungs were filling with water and sputum, and we had that discussion where we were wondering, is there a drug or something that could reduce the immune response in people? Because the immune system kills the people, not the virus.
Right. And
Those
that's what some of the
bonkers and
experiments are. Yeah.
So, and in fact, in that discussion, we looked at quinine. My friend was drinking gin soda, gin tonic, and there's quinine in the tonic. And we found an article that was explaining that one of the side effects of quinine is to disrupt the water pumps in the lung cells. So they cannot fill your lungs with water. So it makes sense. I don't agree very often with Donald Trump. I don't like his approach. I think it's reckless, but on that one, he might be right. But
why is he reckless for saying that this drug is promising and needs to be tested? He didn't say it was a cure. He didn't tell everyone to take it. He didn't tell everyone to go to their local aquarium store and buy aquarium cleaner and take a tablespoon of it in a glass of water.
Yes, but if you look at press conferences everywhere else in the world, you have the chief of state, the head of the healthcare system, and someone else who's knowledgeable, a science guy, and the ones talking about the research are always the head of healthcare or the science guy. They're not the head of state. There's a separation in the roles, and there's a reason for that. There's a way of announcing research and medical progress, and a politician is not necessarily the best suited for announcing that. So I think
I don't
the
say
issue
that
there
I
is that
agree.
he should have left his expert speak about this.
But they have, and as long as they briefed him, and all he's giving is a very brief statement. He's not going into the chemical properties of chloroquine. He's not going into the molecular makeup of the virus. All he's saying is we're investigating various treatments, and this is the one that's come up currently, and we're looking at it, and it's an FDA testing. And if
You would be a much better politician than him, because the way you're saying it keeps me calm and motivated.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Hugo said. Hugo says he doesn't always agree with him, but in this case here, he actually did. But yeah, and I don't want this to get too political.
No,
but
for sure.
Matthew,
I said I don't agree, and I said
all
why.
of us on the call agree we're not going to go take aquarium cleaner?
Yes,
No, I can't
That
promise.
was pretty stupid.
I can neither
of them.
confirm nor deny what substances I will be experimenting with.
A gin tonic is very good for you.
I'd prefer to experiment with Chet's substances than aquarium cleaner.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew Neal, thanks for joining us. Where are you calling from?
By the way, guys, I have to drop.
All right, Hugo, thanks for stopping by.
Take care, Hugo.
Thanks for adding a little flair to the event too. Yeah. How you doing, Matthew?
Hi, I'm good. I'm from Mishawaka, Indiana.
All right.
Right up north.
Yeah.
You're caller number 10, so you win the grand prize today. So yeah, no,
Oh, sweet.
Free nose swab. No, just kidding.
Yeah. So what's going on with you? You said Indiana? Is that what you said?
Yep. Northern Indiana.
And how is your life impacted right now by all this?
Well, kind of hard to get a job right now. Moving back from school because they're closing down all the residence halls. Yeah. So getting kind of rocky, but should end up being fine, I think.
Grocery stores are getting a little bit better, but they're not great. Having trouble finding pork fritters and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so how is schools are closed? Same deal with you guys. Like restaurants are carry out only. There's nowhere you can sit down and eat right now.
Pretty
right?
much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so getting a job right now kind of sucks when almost all the places are closed down. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you live on your own? You live with family or?
Living on my own right now.
Okay. And so this is affecting your ability to make some money and pay your bills right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, yeah, it's and you obviously look a little bit younger than most of us old guys here. So are you taking common sense practices as far as social distancing and hygiene and sanitary and all that kind of stuff? You're not being reckless, right?
Oh, right. Yep. No spring break for me.
Yeah.
Staying in.
Now, people you talk to, do you find other people are practicing the same kind of common sense behavior, or do you witnessing any recklessness or anything? Or
most people I hang out with are pretty knowledgeable on the topic. But I know a couple people that like went down to Florida for spring break. So yeah, there's always a few.
Yeah, it's insane. But by the way, Grant and Matthew, how did you guys find out about this call? Where were you watching?
It was on Twitch.
Oh, you're watching my Twitch stream. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Both of you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you guys? Were you previously following my gaming stuff, or did you just come across this completely randomly?
Just came across this completely randomly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Randomly.
That's pretty cool, man. The internet, man. It's not just for pornography anymore. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so it's cool. We're hearing from a lot of people in different parts of the world. We got different age demographics here. It seems like everybody here is pretty well informed, and we're doing the best we can. But yeah, I think one of the things, I mean, we start talking about these numbers and what's going on. It seems like it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. I think, we started off, at least in the United States, not taking this as seriously as we should have, and now hopefully we are starting to. But even then, somebody earlier was saying that even in Italy, where they've locked down the country, there's people in Italy who still aren't practicing common sense behaviors. Were any of you guys Platypus 429? Was that either you guys or was that somebody else? Because there's somebody else in Twitch, Platypus 429, who's been chatting in text. Yeah.
Not me.
Okay. So it's crazy. It's just what is it going to take for people to start saying, man, we got to really change things, and you got to change things within reason. We can't. It's like you can't shut down the world, but you almost need to shut down the world. But when you do,
I'm worried that nothing's gonna change. I feel like after a month or two of this, most Americans will be sick of it and will start going back to work, really. And obviously that's not the best thing we should do, but I think it's inevitable.
Yeah. It's kind of like Trump saying, well, we got to by Easter, we got to get back to where we were by Easter. You can't just put these, arbitrary dates by saying, okay, this is as long as we're going to tolerate this inconvenience. It's more than just an inconvenience. And somebody was asking by the name of Funk Ass in Twitch, is saying, Funk Ass wants to know, can anybody join? With a name like Funk Ass, please join. Yeah, no, this is an open Zoom call, so anybody can. We won't start taking precautionary measures until somebody comes in here and breathes all over us. But yeah, no, it is absolutely crazy what's going on. And what can we do? What can we as a civilian do? We're kind of powerless.
As an individual, yeah, you're right. We're pretty powerless. As a
you
society,
can just do your safe practices. That's all you
safe
can
practices.
Really do.
Yeah.
So be safe, be smart, be sensible, and do the best we can. Evan, are you putting on your safety helmet there? You look like you got your...
somehow, when I was a kid, I was really into Army stuff. So I've been lugging around this Vietnam era steel helmet for about 40 years. And I figured, now would be a good time to pull it out of the basement and, just in case. Also, everybody else had silly hats.
Yeah, I should get my helmet out.
It won't fit over the headset, though.
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea where this was going to go today, or tonight. Actually, I started this around almost 9 o'clock my time in Florida, and it's now it's midnight. It's freaking midnight. Yeah. Holy shit! All right, so no, this was cool. I mean, we're not going to solve any problems here, but it's cool just to talk about them because sometimes we're just cooped up and stressed out and need a way to vent. It's hard to sometimes not get political or take a side or get defensive or reactionary to things. And we've all been fairly respectful of one another here. So that's kind of cool. There's hope for humanity and civility, right? I don't know if there's a light at the end of the tunnel here right now. I mean, I know we're not quite in doomsday, but there's a reality that we're in the middle of. And hopefully more and more people, especially people who can influence things like local, city, state, governments, can start acting in a way that's a little bit more proactive and more effective, and trying to find that balance between martial law and a police state and in complete free will, and mamby-pamby spring breaking. There's got to be some type of compromise and some type of balance to trying to take care of one another. Did Funkass join us here yet? No, Funkass isn't here yet. But with a name like Funkass, we got to hear what Funkass has got to say, because that's an awesome name. All right, what else? Anything else? Were you going to say something, Evan? No. Tony, good. Maybe we can wrap it up, but I really want to wait for Funkass. I gotta hear what Funkass has to say.
Rolling the red carpet out for Funkass.
Yeah. It reminds me, we had somebody come on and stream one time. What was his name? Fart Whiff on one of our Saturday shows. We had some really interesting people come in and some cool screen names. So
Hey,
you guys
Grant, what was your first computer?
My first computer, probably some. I think it's this one right here, this Lenovo laptop.
Wow.
Well, hey guys,
Hey,
it's me,
Hey.
Funkass.
Funkass. Not what I was
Made
expecting
it.
with a name like Funkass, but welcome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Funkass.
Women can be funny too.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes.
Yeah, we're learning a lot. We're learning how to wash our hands, and that women can be funny, man. This has been a productive day.
Yeah,
So-
I know it's crazy
God,
out
I
here.
feel like such a caveman.
Where are you?
I'm in Bryan, Ohio.
Oh,
Mm.
know it well. I used to
Oh,
live in
yeah?
Toledo.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my grandpa is from West Palm Beach, actually. So
Oh, okay. Not
he
far
told
from
me
me.
about the stream. Thought I'd hop on tonight.
Yeah, I was in West Palm Beach today. It's like just 45 minutes down the road from me.
Yeah, poor guy. He's
How's
not
he doing?
too well, actually. He went to the store, and all the pork fritters are gone. So I don't know about that.
We've been having the same problem up here. I think I mentioned it earlier.
I just cause the toilet paper situation, but it's actually pork fritters that are going out. I don't know if it's like a West Florida thing.
What is a pork fritter? Is that like a pork rind? Is that those crunchy things? Pork fritter?
Pork
Or is
fritter
that-
sandwich, sometimes frozen, sometimes in the
I have
package.
never heard of pork fritter. I must have
Yeah.
missed something.
Is it
I
like
don't know what
Spam?
it is.
It's just pig meat.
Pig meat, pork fritters.
Yeah, pork fritters.
And
They're
so we're-
going fast, I guess. I don't know what the deal is.
It's
Sounds
like
like
bacon
those,
under another name, or
Sounds like those Jamaican patties you get here in the New York area.
Pork fritters. Never
So
heard
what's
of
a
a pork.
Jamaican patty?
Jamaican patty is a very spicy, like a crust, a pie crust, and it's stuffed with
Spicy ground beef.
spicy
usually.
ground beef, or it
Kinda
can
like
be
an-
chicken,
yeah.
or it can be pork, any kind of meat.
But what
And
is
they're
pork?
very
What is
popular
pork fritter? Just like chunks of pork meat?
It's like fried, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fried sandwich. But I guess, he's pretty upset about it. I know some people in the community are pretty upset about it. I don't know
Oh, yeah.
why
We need our
why
pork
it's a
fritters.
thing. Because it's not so much the toilet paper. Even in Bryan, Ohio, and it's not so much the toilet paper, it's the pork fritters. I don't know why.
It sounds like after eating a pork fritter sandwich, you might need a little extra toilet paper. I'm not quite sure about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know
but,
what's going on. It's like maybe there's the math that they're thinking. I don't know. Because the restaurants are closed.
Does it come in a can? Because I think all canned goods are going to go. So like your
No,
canned
they're
tuna.
mostly frozen if they're like, Jimmy Dean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I had a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
What's your go-to quarantine snack right now?
Microwave popcorn.
Nice.
Frozen
My
pizzas.
My wife made a large cake with icing, and we're out of ice cream now, but it's still fun. We've been chewing on that.
PB&J. That's always a good one.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with that.
grilled cheese, and a Rona.
Yeah.
Yep. Classic beverage.
In my case, I've tried to be healthy with it because I mean, you know, staying at home all the time, being quarantined, it's tending to eat a lot of junk food. So I've been getting big bulk bags of various frozen fruits, and I just make smoothies in a little blender.
Oh yeah, we do that all the time.
Go as gross as possible. That's the way to go.
I feel what you're talking about, Ms. Funk, because my grandma, she's also been struggling a lot with the quarantine. She's having a real hard time keeping herself inside, and she's been kind of over herself since her care facility shut down the intramural sports.
I like how you called her Miss Funk and not Miss Az, so that's very
Hey,
upper
I've
crust
been
of you
called
there.
both before,
Yeah, so that's very
My Midwestern sensibilities.
Yeah. Ms. Funk. Ms. Funk. And we've just been joined by Flame, and now it's becoming
It's actually Dr. Funk. Thank
Dr.
you.
Funk. Yeah.
Sorry.
The youth is taking over here. It's gonna push all us old guys out. Yeah, we're all we're all dying from it.
It's actually our secret plan. I don't know who told you that.
Yeah.
I'm a little miffed.
What's going on,
Actually,
everyone?
the reason we started coronavirus to take over this podcast.
Oh wow!
Wow.
The secret is
Yeah, I
out.
was waiting for that. I saw Logan's Room before y'all was born. I was waiting for it. So don't think you're getting anything over on me.
Yeah.
Where are
Can
you
you
at,
hear me
Flame?
by any chance?
Yeah, Flame. Where are you at?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. And how are
Hey,
you holding
Flame
up?
J.
I'm alright. So
How's-
I joined just for one question. Do you know what's going on with the stimulus and when that's going to be effective?
Which stimulus? Which
The
pack?
$2 trillion one that the Senate just passed.
No, the $2 trillion one.
The
Is that the one? Is that the Republican plan or the Democrat plan?
No clue.
I was asking Chet since he answered.
It's predominantly bipartisan. I mean, it depends on how you want to view it.
Yeah. Am I getting my $1,000 a month or?
Yeah, you're getting. Actually, I think you'll be like 1,500. I think children are 5. There's actually articles on both. I think CNN and Fox that they actually outline all of the stuff. I think
Wait,
it still
it's a month?
has to.
I thought it was a one-time thing.
It's a month until it's over. I
Yeah,
believe.
but it's still. I think it's still got to go to the House to pass, and then that's there's been calls that they may call a in-person vote for that. But we'll see how that goes. And as far as when it becomes effective, I haven't seen too much information on that. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. They've been trying to move as quick as possible on this, so I don't think they're going to be putting up with a whole lot of delays on it. At least I would hope not.
It sounded like sometime in April last time I heard them talking about it. So.
I had heard about sometime in June, but I don't know where I heard that, so it's not very credible.
How do they know how to pay everybody? Where are they getting their bank of?
Pulling off of either 2018 or 2019 taxes.
Okay, so if you filed your taxes, the IRS is going to mail you a check, basically.
Yeah, so you're eligible as long as you make, I think it's $100,000 or less.
No problem.
Anything over 100,000, you're not eligible for it. So yeah.
Okay.
So what if I made over 100,000 in 2018 and now I don't?
If they use the 2018 taxes, then you're not eligible.
But if you didn't file taxes, 'cause me, I just
then
turned
you
18.
probably got a whole set of other problems you got to deal with first before
Yeah, if
even
you
be
just
worrying
turned
about
18,
that.
you're still somebody else's dependent. It's not a, it's
Okay,
not a
then,
huge
yeah.
issue for you.
Oh yeah.
But I heard the child 500 credit is 17 and under. So if you're a parent of kids who are 18 and over, you're not going to get that $500 a head bonus.
But that would still be in the 2018
Yeah. Okay.
taxes. So
your parents will get some more money because of you.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So if I had a job, then I would. Actually, I didn't file taxes in 2018. I had to wait. So it really wouldn't matter, regardless.
We're all waiting on that government check. We've just been joined by Eric. Hey, Eric, how you doing? You're muted, but welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Where are you at?
I'm in the Seattle area.
How did you find out about this? How did you find the stream? I'm just curious how people are finding the stream.
I followed on. I could have found it on Twitch, but I found it on Facebook. So.
Okay, cool. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So how are things affecting your life in your town right now? How's your neighborhood and your city holding up?
We're pretty shut down. I mean, it started here several weeks back in the Seattle area. It's gotten worse in other areas like New York, but it's still pretty bad here. So my kids have been home from school for several weeks now. we officially shut down this evening for the state. So it's only essential businesses are remaining open at this point. And so pretty much I've been working from home for last 3-4 weeks.
Wow.
Since it really started. Because I worked in downtown Seattle and they closed that off pretty quick.
What was the old folks home somewhere around there that actually was part of the main outbreak?
Kirkland, yeah. Kirkland, that's about 20 minutes from us.
Look, he has a uke.
Yeah, you have a ukulele in the background there.
It's my daughter's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of us are fond of the ukulele here in this group.
It's false perspective, right? It's meant to make the room look bigger.
Yeah.
I'm more of a steel drum kind of guy.
I like ukes.
Wow.
So
we have a full drum set downstairs in our formal living room.
Cool. Well,
Also the music.
You got a
room.
racing chair there too, so somebody's a gamer or just likes comfort, huh?
Well, this is where my work from home space is. So
Cool.
right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some people in some industries are not used to the whole telecommute thing, video conference, remote thing, and some people are. And it's not even just an age thing. It's almost more of an occupation thing. Like I'm techie, and I also do tech for a living. So the whole remote desktop video conference thing, I've been doing this thing forever. I've been doing this as long as the internet's been around. So there are some people who are still younger, but their world has not force them the need to do that. So a lot of people are having this learning curve now on having to function through the internet, so that's kind of an interesting thing that's going on right now,
Yeah,
You think it's
sorry.
Go ahead.
I said good luck finding a webcam or a headset with a microphone.
Is
in
that
it.
like toilet paper now? So it's like
it is. If you go on every store, like Staples, Office Depot, Office Max, Amazon, Fry's, Micro Center, all of that stuff is just totally sold out because everybody just
Working
had to
from
go
home.
home and they had to set up this online office that they'd never done before.
Yeah. That's it.
You think it's awkward when nobody answers in class? You should see it when nobody answers in the video call.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the old days of the internet in the chat rooms. It's like, okay, we have this new technology. What do we do? Okay, well, so where are you from? What do you do? Those are really boring, stupid, lame questions that come on.
Well, it's like ham radio, right? You go through this whole thing of connecting, and then what do you talk about on your ham radio? Like, well, ham radio, right?
Yeah, what's the weather? What's the weather, right? So, riveting question. So, what do you do, Eric? What kind of work do you do?
I work for a tech company that does streaming, a big streaming.
Okay.
So yeah.
Name withheld to protect the guilty.
Well, no, I work for HBO.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can we all get an HBO Go subscription right now? It's an essential service that we need.
That's why I was trying to hide it.
Ah, okay.
Come on, Eric.
I would actually like to complain about the last season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm gonna call up and say, hey, me and Eric, we go way back here. I got a picture of me and Eric hanging out together. He's got a ukulele, he's got a racing chair, man. Now hook a brother up. All right. So
actually, Eric, I was going to ask you because I heard reports today that like Netflix and Amazon Hulu and stuff are now throttling, and YouTube are throttling back their speed rates, and your high def is going down to single def or the old style to conserve bandwidth. Are you guys doing that as well?
Yeah, there's been discussion. I don't think that I don't think that there's been a decision yet. So, but definitely discussion for the same reasons that all those others are as well. The more people staying home, the more people are streaming, which is good for us that have streaming solutions. Bad for folks that need to work from home. Bad for kids that need to school from home. So
yeah, it's kind of like when there's a disaster in the old copper phone line service, like right after a hurricane or a tornado, everybody's trying to use the phones at once, and we've just choked the telephone network. We're starting to have a critical impact on the internet right now, right? Everybody's trying to hit that internet, hit those same 4 wires at the same time now, and you're getting
now that you bring that up, actually, I'm concerned on what they're going to do for me because I'm a senior and I'm supposed to graduate by June, and it looks like there's going to be no school. So am I graduating? They haven't issued like any laptops or anything, any schoolwork that I have to make up. So it's I have no clue if I have to repeat the entire year or if they're just gonna give me credits or what's going on.
They didn't say all the learning's going online. They just said semester's paused. We'll figure it out later.
Pretty much, they just closed down the entire district.
Wow.
Out of nowhere.
I don't think they know what they're going to do right now.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here as well. I mean, there's still a lot that needs to be sorted out. I mean, there's a whole resource allocation issue with all of this. I mean, it's where does it go? Where does it come from? And they're just not prepared for a situation of this scale. It's not something
and
that
even
you
if they
expect to
decide
shut
to go
down.
cyber, where I'm from, there's not a lot of kids that have the opportunity, to own a computer or have internet access whenever they want.
Yeah.
It's not like they could go to libraries, and then because of the pandemic and stuff. So I have no clue what they're gonna do.
That's one of the biggest problems they've got here right now with the distance learning is they don't have enough laptops, they don't have enough tablets. They did start today delivering work packets with the using the buses to do that. So they are doing some stuff, but it's to take it a day at a time to figure out what's going on.
I'm not saying we're backward over here, but I go to Blockbuster. I got VHS all I want, and it's just the same quality as Netflix now.
Where are you where there's still a Blockbuster?
Back in my day, we
right.
I associate Blockbuster with Nixon.
Might as well, one and the same. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you mentioned that, what are we going to do? So it kind of reminds me of when they had Spider-Man: Far From Home, where they're like, yeah, some people blipped out and blipped back, and now they're like 15 years older and younger and all this kind of stuff. It's like, what are you going to do? My youngest daughter is in school right now, and we know that we're going to start classes soon, but how is this going to apply to school credit? Are they going to have to extend if school ever reopens this year? Are they going to have to extend the school year? Will she have to be in school during the summer? There are a lot of questions that we don't know the answer to. In my county, St. Lucie County, they are giving out laptops to people who need them. And luckily, in our house, we don't need it. I do computers for a living, so we've got a computer in every room.
I'm counting to graduate on time as well because I enlisted into the Army. So I wonder if that's also going to get pushed back.
And like prom and stuff, right? Like last year, my oldest daughter, she graduated. She had her prom last year, her senior prom last year. But
they
everybody
already
this
suspended
year,
our prom.
Yeah.
We're not having prom this year.
Yeah,
at all.
I mean, there's just a lot of things that are impacted by this, and it might seem trivial to some in the grand scheme of things, but this is just one example of how a lot of people's lives are impacted in a lot of ways right now.
Going back to streaming video, it's after midnight, so the last episode of Star Trek Picard.
Oh, is Picard out? Oh, yes. Dude, I'll be watching that before I go to bed.
I heard today that they're giving the whole season of Star Trek Picard for free.
I heard that too, but that could be fake news, but we'll see. Supposedly it's offer code. What was the offer code? I forgot, but it was
I'm excited. I'm a huge TNG fan. This is good news.
Yeah, have you seen any of it yet? Any of Picard?
Picard, no.
Oh, it's so good. And Jerry Ryan, oh man, she's still hot. She looks great for her age, man. Oh man, she is hot.
Great for any age.
Yeah, she does. So she's the Borg technology has definitely held her parts together quite well. So
it's just the CGI.
CGI.
Yeah, they de-aged Data, so maybe they de-aged her.
Oh, but they
Photoshop and pick your boobs off the floor.
They showed Brent though. Brent Spiner played an older version of basically a real version of himself.
Lieutenant Data.
Yeah, and what's his name? Dr. Soren. So he's like the son of Dr. Soren. So he's like this second.
Soon. It's Dr.
Soon. Yeah,
Soon.
Soren was from Generations.
So Brent plays the son of his creator now, and he still looks old AF, but he is. We are. So yeah. So
yeah,
it's kind of.
I'm still waiting on my HBO for free.
Yeah, well, I got let's talk to my buddy Eric. He'll give you the hookup.
Do you guys watch Orville at all? Because a lot of the
yes, I have seen the Orville. It's a good successor to Star Trek. At first, I thought it was going to be a parody, and it is in some ways, but it's also, I think, a very good successor to the Star Trek series.
Yeah, it's kind of like if they turned Galaxy Quest into a series. But,
exactly, except it wasn't like so over the top. Because the Orville, it started out very much as a parody, but I think in the season 2 it really came into it being its own thing and not so much like just shitting on or not really shitting
and that
on,
might have
but,
been
like,
how he had to pitch it to get it on the network initially too, and then
interesting.
Yeah.
That was exactly how
every
we pitched
episode.
it.
It seems like there's a cameo by a Voyager or a TNG actor in there.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many. I've seen my wife watch a few of them. They do look good, but I just there's too much stuff to watch, man. I mean, that's kind of a challenge. I tell you what I'm excited about, since we're now talking about streaming. I also have Disney Plus, and I got Disney Plus just to watch The Mandalorian because my bootleg apps were buffering too much and I couldn't handle it. So I legitimized my Disney Plus. I am so excited to now know there's so much MCU new live action content coming out there, and a new MCU animated series too, which is pretty awesome too. They're going to do What If. If you guys remember the What If comics back in the day. Oh, they're doing an animated What If. I am so stoked for all new MCU stuff coming out.
I saw a news article that said they cast now I can't think. I think it's Gina Torres, maybe someone else as Ahsoka Tano. So she's going to appear in the next season.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Who was that?
Not Gina Torres.
No. You're right. It was somebody. If I heard her name,
the woman
I know
that was in the Daredevil series on Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. And they're casting her as what now?
Ahsoka Tano from the animated Star Wars, the Jedi.
Oh, okay.
Any horror movie fanatics?
I like horror movies.
Yeah, same here.
I'm behind on new stuff, but if you get to some classics, I might be able to.
For the first time last month, I watched The Evil Dead.
The original or the new one?
The original.
Good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of scenes in there scared the shit out of me. That lasted a long time, and that was a really good, impactful movie.
I've always been a big Bruce Campbell fan, so it was good to see him when he was young. Because I first saw him in Burn Notice, and that's like my favorite TV series of all time.
Yeah. The great thing about Bruce Campbell, if you watched his old classics, like especially like to me, classic Bruce Campbell is like Army of Darkness. Right?
Oh yeah,
this is my boomstick, right? And if you're a fan of that, and then you watch him in anything else, especially Sam Raimi has used him as a cameo in everything. He was in Darkman, he was in Spider-Man, So I love seeing a Bruce Campbell cameo. Even man, if you're a fan of his classic stuff, to see him in some of those roles is pretty awesome.
Bubba Hotep.
Yeah. I was gonna say Bubba Hotep. You gotta check it out. Awesome movie.
Yeah. So what are you gonna ask about horror flicks? Since we're now, it's probably good to take a break from the apocalypse.
I'm gonna pack it in, but thanks for the chat, Steve.
All right, Evan.
Great seeing everybody.
Yeah, we'll probably do this again. This was fun.
Okay, yeah, glad I popped in.
Yeah, Flamey, what were you gonna ask us about horror flicks?
Nah, I just brought it up because I don't want to talk about Star Trek.
That was a diversion right there. That was a diversion. So we lost Evan. Yeah, good stuff. Good times. Good times.
Hey, Eric, what was your first computer?
You're muted, by the way. You have your mic muted. Eric, you're ranting and your mic is muted. There you go.
Thank you. No, it was a Coco. That's how I found all you guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Far out. Have you seen our show on Saturdays, Coco Talk?
Yep, I have. Yep, a couple times. Yep.
We're sorry.
For the youngsters, this is a Coco.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh,
what the hell is that?
It's a color computer.
Back in my day, the television.
Back when Radio Shack used to still be around.
Yeah. Back when computers didn't run on electricity, we had to wind them up and crank them up.
It was a big loom that we put numbers into.
My first tablet was made out of stone.
I trained my hamster to run in a wheel to power my computer.
Well, this particular Coco, we watched Netflix on.
Yeah.
You can watch Netflix on that dinosaur?
Yeah.
How?
I set my other laptop on it.
On top of it.
It's like saying it supports Windows when you use it to hold the window open, right? So it's good times, good times. All right, well, do we want to wrap this up? This was fun. This was spontaneous. We made some new friends, and hopefully we'll get together again. We'll give some updates. It was pretty cool to get some different people from different parts of the world. Different demographics here. We're all behaving politely, and this is good. It's a beautiful thing. And just remember,
if Tony would just be quiet for a while.
Yeah, and just when you need HBO Go, use offer code Eric for a free subscription. So what is up with Game of Thrones, Eric? Did you have anything to do with that?
No. I joined. I've only been there since December. I worked at Microsoft before that. So.
Oh, well, in Seattle, there's three choices. You got Starbucks, Microsoft, or apparently HBO, right? So that's really about it, right? Or you work on a wharf somewhere tossing fish into an ice bin, right?
Yeah,
so,
Microsoft's canceled almost everything. Oh, their
Wait, isn't
conferences
Nike isn't Nike stationed in Portland?
They're in Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
That's Oregon. Never mind. I'm
Yeah.
retarded.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
We got a couple people retired here on the panel tonight, so yeah. Cool. Grant, what do we got? Oh, we got people moving all over the place. Cool. All right, so some of you guys, if you found me on Twitch, go ahead and follow, and if we do it again, you'll know. And this has been kind of multi-streamed across YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and Mixer and all my stuff, because I'm usually doing some gaming stuff, or we do a retro show sometimes. So it's kind of cool that we got some people. Oh, the Village people are here. I wonder how the Village people are holding up.
Are they all even alive?
Yeah, they're going to survive because they are macho men. Right? So
they're probably isolated because they've been in the Navy.
Yeah, that's right. And,
they're holed up in the YMCA. There,
yeah, you definitely want to do it. We can do this all night, folks. We can do this.
Or maybe they're in the village.
In the village, that's true. So
it takes a village.
It takes a village to raise people. Good times. All right. Well, I want to say a very special thank you to Grant and to Flamey and to Miss Funk, who was here, and Eric from HBO. Remember, offer code Eric for a lifetime supply of free HBO Go streaming. Just mention Eric. And
he accepts bribes of toilet paper. So he's
Matthew, thanks for joining us, and some of our resident guys, and Nick Marentes in Australia. Crikey, Nick. And Al Hartman from Jersey, and Tony in Chicago.
And on that impression of an Australian accent, I'm out of here.
Yeah, there we go. And Chet Simpson and the Village people, and Curtis in Canada. We had people from Quebec and all over the place. It's a beautiful thing, and so we're all affected. We're all concerned, and Batman. We got Batman back in there too. Oh, Batman. All right, good job there, Eric. He's right behind you. Look out, he's going to stab you in the back. So, yeah, freaking psychopath vigilante and right behind you there. So, good times. We're gonna press the button and put a fork in this. But thanks, guys. This was cool.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks.
God bless.
Mm-hmm.